Give me coffee in the morning, gotta have the coffee. Wake me up, shake me up, dip me like a pussy. One sip, two sips, and I'm feeling so alive. Coffee in the morning, it's the best way to survive. Woke up in the morning, sleepy eyes yawning. Jumped out of bed, started the day, opened the curtains. Felt the cool breeze, the sun shining on my face. But something was missing, I needed my job to chase. Give me coffee in the morning, give me coffee in the morning, gotta have the coffee. Wake me up, shake me up, dip me like a pussy. One sip, two sips, and I'm feeling so alive. Coffee in the morning, it's the best way to survive.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome in. I hope everybody can hear me. Y'all let me know in the chat. Welcome in, Forrest. Dolphin is here. She's going to join me today. And Butterfly, thank you guys for coming on in. Our mods, well, we appreciate you guys. We'll give everybody a chance to get up and get on in here. Let me bring Dolphin on up. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
All right. Thank you, Motion to Scream. I think I'm going to live. I wasn't too sure about that a couple days ago. But yeah, I think I'm on the back end finally. Yeah, it hit me hard, guys. I've been down for a damn week. And so
Yeah, I hate
today,
it when it happens.
remember that? I was
Because it's
reminding
very
me that,
rare, too.
yeah, and it reminded me that last time you got sick because you were down for
Mm-hmm.
like a week. And I was like,
I
damn, I
know.
got whatever Dolphin had. But yeah, today's like the first cup of coffee I've had in a week, and for me, that's a lot. And yeah, my body's trying to get back to normal now. So, all right, good. Sound is good. Sound is good. So a lot's been happening over the week. I couldn't tell y'all what day it was half the time, what time it was. Y'all don't care about the time, no how, but because I slept 2 hours at a time in little intervals, and I'm up and down for days. But there was a lot happening. A lot of the ISP docs dropped, and I tried to read through a lot of it, but I couldn't even concentrate, honestly. So I haven't even really barreled through any of that stuff yet. Some of it I have, but not all of it. Have you guys had a chance to look through a lot of those documents yet?
I know I
I
have. I've
know
been up
she
like a
has.
crack addict.
The
Mm-hmm.
other night I was like, man, I thought I was better. I was like, you know what? I think I slept. I think I feel better. I need to hit up Dolphin and we're going to dive. Then like 20 minutes later, I was like, I got to lay back down.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time I got up and thought I was going to be okay, my body was like, no, head back to the bed, girl. Mm. I got so desperate like 3 days ago. I went into my son's room and got his liquid Dayquil. I cannot take Dayquil or NyQuil, liquid stuff. It just not, it's just no. So I was like, you got to take it. You got to feel better. And yeah, that was a mistake because then I did get sick. And I was like, holy shit. So nasty. I can't stand that stuff. How do people
Yeah,
drink
it
it?
is pretty disgusting.
It is. I can't take it. My son doesn't he can't swallow pills really well because he had the trach when he was a baby, so his tracheotomy had scar tissue in his throat, so he has a hard time swallowing big pills, so he takes liquid medication, and he's dude, I can't. I'll throw up. Sorry to talk to you guys about that first thing in the morning, but it's
Oh,
disgusting.
that's okay. Is this better for us? Is this louder?
Mm-hmm. That
He
is
was
good.
typing in chat and said he could hardly hear me. For some
Okay.
reason, my mic gets turned down to like 30 something percent when
Oh,
I connect here. Like, yeah. It's
and
like,
then you have
oh,
to
let me
turn it
turn it
back
back
up.
up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hear you really good now.
And I'm not talking loud. Yeah, but okay. Still
All
sort of
right.
trying to wake up.
I know, right? woke up earlier and I scheduled it yesterday for 10. I was like, I don't really want to push it at 9 because what if I don't feel good? So I gave myself a little leeway this morning, but it was fine. It worked out. So I was able to eat and let that settle and then get my coffee made. So here we are. Um, we're not going to jump deep into those documents today. We'll go back into them tomorrow. We're going to cover some stuff. I listened, well, this morning, Dolphin and I both saw that Brian Enton did an interview with the Bernhardts, and I know I saw somebody saying, "Oh, look, we now are hearing from the Bernhardts who were kept secret." I'm like, they've not been a secret. where, where y'all been?
Oh my goodness.
What do you mean they're a secret? They're like, it's not been a secret they were going to be testifying in this trial, or
Yeah,
where.
expert witnesses who've been, mentioned in documents. Yeah.
Thank you. Mentioned in documents. And the minute we heard them mention, we were like right on it. Who are these
Mhm.
people? And we went and found out who they were. Um, so that kind of stuff is comical to me. Than people, think that they were like new and it's secretive and oh yeah, whatever. But Simi Sharp, welcome in. Sajoy, welcome. You guys rock. Thank you for being here. So it's kind of a little bit all over the place. One thing I do want to talk about first and foremost, often, and I don't know if I guess you have read the documents about Dylan's statements.
Are you talking about ISP documents?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
So I see it all over the YouTube for the past couple of days, and I'm like, can we, can common sense enter the building? Can thought process happen here? Or are we just going to run wild with the killer said Kaylee's name?
Yeah.
First of all, how the hell did he say Kaylee's name when she was upstairs deceased?
Right in the second floor bathroom. Yeah.
And I just, I think people are misinterpreting some of the stuff because the document that states that Dylan heard the killer say Kaylee's name is a cop giving a narrative of what another cop told him. That wasn't a direct statement from Dylan in any of her direct statements to law enforcement. She did say she heard crying and it's okay, I'm here to help you, or whatever the hell he said. But now it's coming out that, oh no, the killer was talking to Kaylee in the bathroom and Kaylee was the target. We don't know who the target was. I don't see how
Mhm.
nobody can definitively say who the target was. How about killing was the target? How about it looks like this guy was looking at a bunch of different women going, which one's the easiest target? Which house is easier to get in and out of? Who has dogs and who don't? Who can I make friends with and who? Yeah, there's a lot. I don't think the guy was after one particular person. He was after a particular type. Apparently. I mean, he was looking at a lot of college girls on his phones. He was asking a lot of crazy questions of these girls about their living situations. Do you have dogs? Do you do all these things?
Oh yeah.
So I started to wonder, if he picked out a few that he thought, okay, possibly, 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 and he goes and stakes out and stakes out, and like, this is the easiest target. This house. Look how easy it is to get in and out of here. Look at this back area, all hidden and dark and secluded. Could that have been the driving factor of where he chose to go kill? Could have been. There's a lot of questions still. The only person to have those answers is Brian Koberger, unfortunately. Unfortunately. I don't think Dylan, and here's the thing with Dylan, she's such an unreliable witness
Ooh,
because
yeah.
I, is it a dream? Is it
Mm.
real?
Was he
I
a firefighter? Yeah.
was that a triangular thing in his hand, a
Mhm.
cylinder? I see people coming out on Twitter talking about, oh, is this type of gun with this triangle? Like, well, y'all, come on, stop it. You know,
Oh, yeah, large AR rifle or whatever.
oh yeah, he's toting that all through there. I mean, it's ridiculous. Maybe one day when his eyebrow, Jeff, I can't even with that silly shit. Y'all talking about frivolous little thing. I want to have, look, I'm so over the superficial conversations almost. You know, this guy's mind is intriguing the hell out of me. I hate to say it like that, but into the mind of killers I go.
Oh yeah.
And he's not the first killer's mind I've ventured off into. And he certainly will not be the last. He's probably the most fascinating at this point as far as killers go, because we don't know a lot about what he was attempting to do, what he would have done in the future, how far it would have went, what was he willing to do to get away, all the different things, you know. There's so much speculation out there, and it's insane, but that's what people do, and I don't blame them for wanting to speculate. Hell, we speculate here, we talk about different theories and different things like that, but I just, I'm kind of over the superficial chat. I've never been convinced it was Maddie he was after. Carrie, there's no way to know, right? Like, even if he say Kaylee was the target, and what if he did go to Kaylee's room first and Kaylee wasn't in there? So he goes across the hall and he finds her.
Yeah, that's true.
Or was Maddie the
Possibility.
target? You know, we just, we don't never know. Um, I, yeah, Jeff, I don't have much to say about old Dylan. Look, as a grown ass woman with kids that age, it feels kind of weird to tear her down a kid, young adult, whatever. But the girl was shady. The girl's inconsistency statements, not inconsistent statements, but the fact that she continued to say, I don't know if it was real or a dream, that was going to be problematic in a courtroom. We can sugarcoat that all we want to and take up for this girl and lift her up and donate to her GoFundMe and all the things. Y'all go do go do you. I don't have it to give out to people. But she was going to be highly problematic on a witness stand.
Oh yes, she was.
And if y'all don't think Bill Thompson was quite aware of that, I mean, how you recover from that, right? From her, I don't think it would have, you know, it would have just thrown some reasonable doubt. I don't even know if it would have been reasonable, but doubt, right, on some things. It doesn't mean that the defense would have gotten far with it. Y'all know what today is. Today's the 18th. We were
Yes.
starting trial today. Y'all, it's like my countdown was winning.
Yes.
Today,
Uh-huh.
today would have been the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel slightly vindicated, just a tiny, tiny bit. I know a lot. I don't really know what people think about certain people in this YouTube streets, and I feel like sometimes people hone in and hate a creator simply because the way they covered one particular case or another. I don't understand why people don't like some people and they love some people. And I'm not talking about the trailer park people. But Chris McDonough and his wife did a show last night. And when I woke up after my 2-hour nap, I saw it. I was like, I'll listen to this while I lay here and chill, since I don't feel like reading anything because I can't concentrate. I'm going to listen to this show. And I listened. And I was like, damn it, man. Did I not say that just a few days ago? Last time I was live, I believe. What's up with this WSU cop being all up in the PCA about finding this car? Because y'all didn't use that to capture your killer. So we're going to get into that a little bit later too. But right now, we're going to talk about what. Let's take a look at Brian Enton's interview with the Barnharts, because I want to discuss a couple of things out of there.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Joe. Welcome in. Welcome in, Jet. Good to see you here. Oh, frozen shoulder. I would. Mine's not frozen, but the damn thing, I just want to cut it off sometimes. I hate when people are in pain. Y'all, it sucks to be in pain, and I know. Oh, I don't watch him, Carrie, just because I don't jive with him. He doesn't like me. If I did listen, I would never comment, but I just can't. listen to that whiny shit over there. So I listen to other people. But it's the subject matter that I go in and listen to, right? Gray's going to
Mm-hmm.
sit here and Gray's going to talk about the same exact things that we are going to talk about. But he's going to give his take on it, and that's cool. But what they talked about on the McDonough show last night was nothing. It, it's wholly different, and it's the kind of conversations I'm wanting to have that go beyond the surface bullshit that's out there because I can't
I
with the
don't
talk.
think I've seen him in a while. He's
Uh,
the interview room, right?
yeah, he did a good show several days ago where he had Dr. Ricardo back on there. I listened to that show. And then he did another show where he had him back on, but the second time he had him back on, he had Anjanette Levy with him. And Ricardo agreed to go on her show because she's got specific questions about Koberger, maybe. And so they're apparently going to work on getting that out to the universe. But then the show I watched last night was a really good show. Because it's critical of law enforcement. And I've been critical of law enforcement for a long time in a lot of cases. And going back to Sebastian Rogers and how they need to get better at facilitating communication with the public and with the press, the media. Well, I don't give a shit if you're mainstream media, YouTube media. You're all damn well media these days. Nobody is special. I don't care what badge hangs around your neck. You could have 50 badges hanging around your neck that tell me you're press, but if I'm not impressed by you or think you are thinking critically, then I'm not going to tune in and watch, right? I don't, your
I don't blame you.
credentials, yeah, your credentials don't hold water with me. Your content and what you talk about is more what I'm looking for. I clout chasers are every damn where, and yeah, I could watch 1,000 of them a day, right? And walk away with the same stupid conversations. I can't. I can't. All right, let me pull this up and get it ready. I'm going to look at that first. Oh, wait, playlist. Mother and father. All right. So like I said, guys, this is, let me get it up here. Brian Enton. One of my mods can go grab this. It was Enton interviewing the Bernhardts, and they can drop the link for you guys. All right.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my channel. Please click to subscribe. I just wrapped up a conversation with Heather and Jared Barnhart. They are the digital forensic experts who searched through Brian Koberger's cell phone and laptop and were set to testify at the trial. This was a detailed conversation that I have for you. Everything that they found on his devices, everything from search histories, conversations with his parents. The timeline of those conversations is very, very interesting. His Reddit history, searches he was doing about serial killers, inappropriate searches he was doing, Wi-Fi connections. I tried to get into everything that I could think of with them. This is probably one of the most interesting interviews that I think I've done in connection to the Brian Koberger case. These people can now talk to us, so they were very, very open about all of the work they've been doing behind the scenes. I want to play the whole thing for you in this edition of Brian Enton Investigates. Heather and Jared, thank you guys so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it. I've been wondering about the phone and the laptop for a long time. Obviously, there's been a gag order and so much has been under seal, but we knew that they had Brian Koberger's phone and we knew that they had his laptop. And come to find out, both of you have been the ones sort of going through both of those devices sort of in secret from the public for all this time. How did you get involved? If you can kind of go back to the beginning.
Sure. In March of 2023, the FBI reached out and asked essentially if I would be willing to come in and just be another set of eyes on the data that they were looking at. When you see his phone and his hard drive, there are huge gaps and things that just don't make sense, not normal behavior. So I think it kind of threw them through a loop. And I brought Jared in with me. So the two of us started working directly with them and just having conversations on what have you seen? What else is there?
So is it basically, and And forgive me if my questions are kind of like stupid. I just don't know how this works. Like, do you go to the FBI and they literally hand you the phone? Or is it like they send you a bunch of files that they found on the phone? How does it actually work?
You want to take that?
Sure. So we didn't actually touch the physical phone itself. They had already extracted the data from the phone and sort of made a copy of the hard drive for the
Who all had a copy of that hard drive and who gave it to Dateline?
laptop. And so we were just working with a copy of the evidence. And so if you think of all the data that's stored on your phone, when it gets extracted, it kind of gets pulled out into a zip file. And then we use software like Celebrate software to take that zip file and put it on your screen into categories with parsed data, decoded, data, so that you can see it and work with it.
Did you both work on the cell phone and the laptop, or did you kind of divide and conquer?
Yeah, we both started on the phone, and then I kind of took over on the hard drive, but it was a constant back and forth because he was logged in to Chrome with the same profile. So just communicating on, I see this, do you see this? Does the timeline make sense? Where are the gaps? He cleared more on his laptop than he did on his phone. So just constant communication back and forth is how we kind of approached this.
Yeah, I mostly just worked on the phone. I didn't do anything on the hard drive.
So what did you first notice on the phone?
Well, I think the brief sort of when we showed up, the brief was, we've looked at the data. So the FBI folks had already looked at the data, and they came to us with, there's a gap in time that we see in his cellular records from this minute, in the middle of the night until this minute in the middle of the night. And so our focus was looking at that period of time and then also looking for any connection to the victims, because that was something that they hadn't achieved yet either.
And when you talk about that gap in time, is that the time when we know that he apparently turned off the phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what were you able to figure out? I mean, was there anything that you could figure out during that time, or was it just sort of a dead zone because the phone was?
Jeff, it's a possibility Cy finally took his option that he gave himself to reserve his right to change his mind.
We figured out it was intentionally turned off and that his phone was at 100% battery power and that it was a manual power down. So that's a big thing. If your battery dies, it doesn't mean you went out and committed a murder. But the fact that you turned off Wi-Fi, manually turned off your phone was charged at 100%, that you never turn off your phone ever.
Okay, let me ask y'all a question. How many of y'all run Wi-Fi on your phone normally?
I do.
I don't. I don't
While
have
I'm at home, yeah, it's on, and yeah.
I rarely do because I have good phone service, right? I don't ever think about it. And only time I've ever really put the phone onto Wi-Fi at home is if the phone service goes down, which is rare. It's not, running my phone on Wi-Fi is not something I normally do. So I don't know what that really, but if you did normally run it and then you stopped, that's a pattern, right? Could that be a red flag?
Well, I mean, the automatic, once you've set it up, initially the automatic default is that Wi-Fi is on. Now phones have settings where you can say, hey, when I leave my home, this is my trusted place, is my home, right? And then you say, when I leave my home, turn this Wi-Fi off automatically. So that's what I do. My Wi-Fi is always on when I'm at home. I have, decent enough signal or whatever, so it's not that it's on because of that, it's just on.
Right.
For if I walk into different places in the house that I might be getting further away from the router or whatever. I'm sorry, that's backwards. What I just said was wrong, but you know what I mean. It's always on for faster downloads and things like that or whatever. But
I will do that occasionally. I manually turn mine off and on constantly. I only turn it on at home if I need to. That's what I was wondering, if any of you guys just always have it on and leave it on, or is it normal for you to turn it on and off? Because it's normal for me to turn it on and off, right? So, because I don't always need it, and unless something, I'm trying to download something like you're saying, or if I need, then I'm like, you know what, maybe if I go to Wi-Fi, it's a little quicker, and I'll have to go turn it on, because 9 times out of 10, it's not on my phone.
Question, do you have data limitations then? With your internet service? Neely, do you have a cap? Is that
No,
why you would turn it on and off?
no.
Oh, okay.
I just don't ever run the Wi-Fi if I don't need to, especially in public. I want
Oh
to,
no, definitely not. That's why I have it automatically turn off when I leave the house. And then
yeah,
that's when you would use a VPN. If you're
right.
out in public, put that bad boy on as
Gotta
soon
do that.
as you connect.
Yeah, my phone does have a VPN. Um, it has for a long time, but yeah, I was just curious how many left theirs on. You know, there was sometimes I do like that once when I got locked out of the car. If I hadn't had the Wi-Fi on the phone, it wouldn't hook to the car like that time. But I was just curious because it's not something I generally keep on my phone. It's off again, on again, and I go in and manually turn it on and off. So,
Yeah,
um,
see, and that's out of the norm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most people just leave it.
Yeah, I'm not normal, I know that. I know I'm not.
Every single day. I shouldn't say never. It's not normal behavior for Brian Koberger to turn off his phone. He had done it a few times, but it's not like, Brian, if you every single day, your best practice is before bed, you turn off your phone and you turn it on every morning. We would be able to look at your pattern and say, this is normal for Brian. This is not normal. For Brian Koberger, turning off his device like that and disabling Wi-Fi before the murders was 100% abnormal and a huge red flag.
Yeah, that would make sense if he didn't normally do that. So when his phone powered back on, what did you notice from that point?
So one thing to remember in this case is the time to evidence really matters with digital evidence.
Nikki, we've considered many times that he had a burner phone. I think that's criminal 101. Shit, Rex Torman had, what, 15 burner phones? They got records of him purchasing the burner phone.
I'm still laughing about those photos of him buying the phones, the
I know,
burners. I was like,
buying the
Jesus.
burners, and so, yeah, it's always been a possibility that Brian Koberger had a burner phone. Always. Is it buried with the kill suit and the knife? Hell, we don't know. But they don't have a record of him purchasing a burner phone anywhere, unless he used his cash in little disguise.
And so from the time the crime was committed until he was identified, arrested, and then his device was extracted, it was like 45 days or somewhere around that range.
And honestly, you would want to focus on his actual phone too, right? Why is everyone obsessed with it? Is it an obsession or is it just wanting to know?
And so as we talk to you right now, my phone is rich with data that is right now, but it can't keep everything.
Actually, I am obsessed with it. Let me tell you why. Because the dude took the phone for a reason and then turned it off for 2 hours during the murders. And we now know because he was wiping everything he could. And if WSU hadn't dropped the ball in November, and they could have arrested this guy 17 days prior to the time the FBI told him who he was, they might have been able to recover more evidence on said phone.
Everything forever. And so the more time that passes, the less rich the data is. So some things naturally were purging over time. By the time he was arrested and the phone acquired, some of the stuff was already gone. So immediately when the phone power's back on, that's sort of where the FBI, their CAS team would pick up with cell records to say, all right, now his device is hitting this tower in this area. But the device itself wasn't super busy with files that were changing that we can see now. It was just sort of benign nothingness until around 6 in the morning.
And what did you notice around 6 in the morning?
Sure. That's when, and I'm sure you've heard this, but he saved his parents in his device as mother and father. And he also called them that. So he would call mother. If mother didn't answer, he would call father. And then he would call mother, call father, and then start texting them saying, mother, why is father not answering? Or father, where is mother? So it was constant back and forth. He ended up speaking with mother for over 3 hours the day of the murder, from about 6:13 or 6:31 in the morning through 5:54 p.m.
So was it one whole 3-hour call or was it chunks?
The longest one was about an hour and a half, and then there was a 54-minute call and then smaller chunks. But he could have a 54-minute call, a few minutes would pass, and then another 9-minute call with mother again.
Okay. So if he was calling,
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
I'm just,
because I know where you're going. Go ahead.
he's calling mother at times his phone's supposed to be turned off.
Hmm.
How? How the hell you calling mother if your phone's turned off?
That's why
Why
I
are you,
really want to see this report.
and
You
Chris
know.
McDonough is telling us if we do it, put in your FOIA request, get these damn phone records, and let's get them analyzed.
Hmm.
Something's up. Um, yeah, because we know that he turned the phone back off later on Sunday, the 13th, right?
Hmm.
Between 5:30 and 8:30, that phone
Hmm.
was allegedly offline again.
Hmm.
And we also now know that he allegedly called mother on the way back to the crime scene that morning.
Right.
What did they talk about, I wonder? Brian, go back home and go to bed. Like, he couldn't even go to bed without mother putting him to bed. He probably should have stayed in Pennsylvania and continued his education at home with mother, and people might still be alive.
Yeah, when you keep referring to her as mother, it just sounds so weird. Like, I mean, I guess people do that, but I just call my, mom, dad for my parents. And like the fact that he would refer to them to each other as mother and father, I don't know. I guess that just strikes me as kind of strange.
Brian, I've been doing this 23 years. I have never seen anything like that in my life. Also, I create test data all the time. At Celebrate, we do CTFs. I create labs for Sands Institute where we
Yeah, Joe, you can buy it online, but there would be a record that he bought it online, right? And had delivered to the house.
train people how to work cases like this. And he had 16 contacts. If I ever gave you a data set with 16 contacts, I would expect you to call me out and be like, what's wrong with this? This person isn't talking to anyone. So stuff like that is also really odd.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense with what we know about him not really having very many friends and sort of seemed like kind of a reject at Washington State University. Was he? I mean, it sounds like he talked to his mom and dad a lot. Were there anyone else that he would call, like that you could see regularly?
Not consistently. There were a few calls here and there, like in the months before the crimes, but especially like around the time of the crime and forward, it was almost exclusively communication with his parents.
Did he talk to them every day?
Yes, like a lot.
Morning
Lot.
and night, as early as 5 a.m. his time.
Every single day, pretty much?
He he talked to them every day, from what we can see.
Interesting. Um, and I mean, I think I know the answer to this question, but there's no way to know what they were talking about, right? Based on the data that you guys can get from the phone.
No.
No, and that's I think one of the tricky pieces is, for some of the evidence that we don't have because time passed, we do have these call logs, and the one call was 54 minutes.
Dan, this is Heather and Jared Bernhardt. They are the Celebrite experts that were working for the defense and the FBI to go through Koberger's phone and hard drive from his school computer, or the computer he had for school. That's who this is. So welcome in, everybody. We're just reviewing. The Brian Enton did an interview with them. They've done interviews with a few people. I'm waiting for the right questions to get asked. I wished I could have a shot at them because there's some certain things I want to know.
Yeah.
And as
Yeah.
far as why the guy took the phone, I couldn't tell you yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. But he took it for a reason because it was just too damn easy to leave it on the side of the bed at the nightstand and say I went for my nightly drive because I couldn't sleep to go visit the moon and the stars out at Wawawee, and oops, forgot my phone. Was too far to
So
go back to get it.
I have a couple of thoughts on that.
Go
So
ahead.
one, I think, one could be muscle memory. When you
Yep.
leave the house, you grab your keys. If you're a woman, you grab your purse, you grab your phone. If you're a
Right.
guy, grab your keys, grab your phone, whatever, wallet, right? Two, um, When did they clear that hit and run accident scene? Like it was out there for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Because it was out there before he left,
Uh-huh.
and he was listening to Broadcastify, I think, to see what was going on with that accident.
Yes.
Maybe that's why he brought the phone, was to maybe see if
Monitor.
everything was clear before he went back that
Ah,
way, because he didn't want to get caught on like a police dash cam or
was
body
he
cam or whatever,
right? Was he listening to Broadcastify while he was out driving?
and that too.
Because in here in my local county, the two counties here, you cannot listen to the police. I don't care what scanner you try to use, you're not going to find them. You will find EMS, fire, all the things. A lot of towns do have the police traffic on there. I don't know about Moscow and Pullman though, right? I hadn't honestly checked. But that's if he was able to listen to Broadcastify and listen to what was going down in Pullman or either Moscow or both, then that makes sense, Dolphin. But he also, if he's wiping things, if he thinks he can get away with it, he's going to do it. So I'm not sure why he would take the phone on
And
purpose
there
yet.
was something that he needed to do too, I think, after the murders when he, clearly pulled over and turned his
Turned
phone
it
back
back
on
on.
and logged into VPN. I think he needed to do something.
Yeah, exactly. That was part of his overall plan. Guys, the guy, wanted to go and teach little rural community cops about how to handle their digital data evidence and all that stuff. And what is the most important thing in this case besides that sheath? Digital evidence. I just, it's a lot of questions about his phone, what he was
If
doing.
he, yeah, I see the Wicked Witch of the Midwest comment, the GPS,
Mm,
right? If he had any sense, he would have downloaded his Google Maps as like an offline version, so he
right?
wouldn't have needed the phone on at all.
Maybe
I've
he,
done that on a tablet
mhm,
in the car.
the guy couldn't think of every single thing, right? Because he did
Yeah.
make some mistakes along the way. Uh,
hmm
but he was certainly trying. um, 12 gauge, thank you, sir. You came in hot and you gifted out um, five memberships. Thank you. We appreciate that. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. Um, yeah, it's interesting, this whole phone thing and how what he was trying to do with it and accomplish with it is intriguing me, and it always has. From the first time I heard somebody say, "Well, he was a criminology student, he wouldn't have took the phone." Well, maybe, but if you think you're smarter than everybody else, you might if you're trying to manipulate something. I don't know.
It's leading up until 9 a.m. the day of the murders. And when we said that, someone else correlated it to, well, he was reportedly back at the crime scene around that time, and we didn't know that because we weren't focused on that piece of the.
What can you imagine what that conversation with his mom was like? Why was he talking to
Nuts.
her on the way back to the crime scene? Did the
Probably
whole night,
business as usual.
right?
I don't know.
And maybe the whole 9 minutes he sat out there wondering. I mean, people are envisioning him going back to the crime scene and 9 o'clock in the morning, parking the car, getting out, walking around looking for his sheath. I just don't know if he's going to get out and walk around or if he's just going to drive around there and wonder, should I go back in? If he's on the phone
Yeah.
with his mother the whole time, what in the world were they talking about? It's like,
Um. So Nikki asked this question: what do we think he needed to do with the phone? I don't
mhm,
know. Think of it this way, Nikki. If you're out driving at 4:48 in the morning by yourself in the middle of nowhere, and your phone has been off for 2 hours, and all of a sudden you pull over again in the middle of nowhere to like turn your phone back on, log into a VPN, why would you be doing that?
exactly.
Obviously you're pulling over to do all that, because I'm hoping he wasn't doing that while he was still driving. So if you did that while you're in the car, you did it because you needed to do something on your phone or
Okay,
needed to do something with your phone.
Nikki, we're having conversations. We're having conversations. That's not in a document. And if it was, Dolphin would tell you because we
Yeah,
didn't.
it's not in a document. I just wondered if Nikki a female, I guess?
I don't know.
Could be a male. I don't know. I'm just wondering, why. Yeah.
Joe, you
the
talk,
questions. It's just like, yeah,
uh, I'm getting lost in this. I'm sorry. I got to stop looking at. Yeah, we're having a
it's
conversation about.
speculation, but if you use common sense, you know, normal people don't do that. You normally don't pull over at 4 something in the morning when your phone has been off and then turn it back on, put VPN on, and do something. I mean, he needed to do something, obviously, with his phone. Otherwise, it had been off for 2 hours. He clearly didn't need it, right? Then why wouldn't he have just kept on driving home without
You
the
know,
phone being turned on? He
right.
stopped deliberately to turn it back on.
Yeah, and we don't. No, he wasn't stopping to listen to the news. So we're just having a. And we've read every single document in this case. And we tell you when it comes out of a document, and we tell you when we're speculating and we're having a conversation, and we're doing that about the phone right now. So, yeah, we'll tell you when our opinions are.
Investigation, we weren't aware. But the words that were being spoken would probably speak volumes to everyone as to what was he saying to her as he was, sorry, what was he saying to her as he was doing that? Like, as he's driving back towards this crime scene, what were the words? And we just will never have that.
While he was still in Washington, were there any other? Were there any other interesting text messages?
Jeff, how many times do you think he drove that route? If he finally made a decision that was going to be the girl and the house, how many times do y'all think he drove to Moscow, run around that house, and then drove away, going all the way back home the back way, just to make sure he knows that route? I'm not about to go take a back road route out of a crime scene that I just committed if I don't know where the hell I'm going ahead of time.
We obviously saw the one photo that came out,
I'm
like
a smart
that kind
criminal.
of creepy photo, selfie
Maybe.
photo. I'm assuming that was off the phone. But was there anything else interesting, like in the days and weeks, after the murders, still in Washington?
So he, on his hard drive, he cleared, and I even said this to Jared this morning. It's so weird to me. He has browser data back through early September, but he chose to clear browser data from October 12th through November 16th. And then on his computer, behavior picked up. It looked like he was back in school and doing typical things. His phone was a little bit different. So his practices seemed to be consistent around the murder on both the hard drive and the phone, but then he changed his methodologies a little bit after.
Yeah, one thing to remember is a normal person's device is busy. You have more than 18 contacts, and so you wake up to a text.
Okay, right. Make it look routine. Here's the thing about going the back way and driving all that craziness and knowing your route. Anne said, as the weather changed and classes were approaching, his habits went from hiking and all that to driving. Were they going to be able to show a pattern of him driving the back roads and going to the little parks in between? Yeah, because that was the route out of Moscow back to Pullman as well.
Calls to more than 2 people. He just didn't. And so his device was quiet, like somewhat normally quiet. He had lots of email activity happening, so school stuff and some Yahoo and like Gmail stuff. But it was really quiet device just in general.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like with my phone, and maybe it's just because like I'm a reporter or whatever, but I'm Googling like all day. I'm searching. Like my phone, if you looked at mine, it'd probably be like insane, So he wasn't doing stuff like that?
Well, he cleaned it up too. So it made it,
Well, here's the thing, Joe Schmo. Bill Thompson can take a seat because he's not being honest with the public.
Yeah,
Right,
I wouldn't
y'all
listen
can-
to
y'all
anything
can-
he says.
Yeah, y'all. I stopped watching these cops, and Chris McDonough solidified why I said that the other day, because they're lying.
I mean, Bill Thompson is the one that said that there was no stalking, right? And all of these reports, like up at the top, a lot of these reports, what did they say? Stalking, stalking, interview about stalking, blah, 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 or whatever. I'm just kind of like, yeah,
They
whatever.
won't even own the fact that this guy. They won't even own any facts about what this guy could have been doing. or what he could have been done in the future or anything. They're downplaying the whole scenario, even to the point, well, we would have got him eventually on the car. Would you? No, you wouldn't have. Because you had the opportunity a whole entire month before the FBI gave you the name, and it was blown. The guy was out there several more weeks with the possibility of harming another individual. But we're just going to overlook it and gloss it and pretend that didn't happen and put it in the PCA. By the way, we're going to use it there, but we're not going to tell them, y'all didn't tell us at first and we didn't want your help. I can't with these lying ass cops. They're part of the problem with this case, and it has been that way from the onset of this case.
The gaps of what we consider normal behavior, but then there were also the gaps from his cleanup, which just made it more difficult. So we would see things and wonder, how did that get created? Or what does this file mean? And we recreated every single thing we found. So when we had to sit there and testify and explain to the jury that this is what a user presses, this is what that file looks like, this is how we know. Just to cement in the fact that we were testifying to lack of evidence proving a crime.
And so when you say he cleared or cleaned his device, is that just clearing the browser history, essentially?
Somewhat. Yeah, on the phone, clearing the browser history. On the computer, it was a little bit more. I found the presence on November 16th of a file called Eraser.
Mm-hmm.
But
yep.
he was correct.
And I've already looked up Eraser. I'm like, damn, maybe I need to get Eraser.
Yeah. Yeah, from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Crafty. And usually you could see, okay, Eraser was run and it wiped these files. I couldn't find that level of detail, but I could see that Eraser was run on November 16th. Could it be from a virus scan or some other scan of software he had on his computer? Sure,
Could it be
but
from a task schedule?
with all the other clearing and stuff, it's just unlikely.
And he was taking some measures. You might say that it was just being security conscious user, but using NordVPN as sort of a normal activity so that his IP address wouldn't be easily discovered.
All right, Jeff. Yeah, I was a DoorDash driver. I get the need for GPS, and it takes you on. Sometimes it takes you down. Y'all talking surface level stuff. This is Brian Koberger. If we don't think he did not drive those back road routes ahead of time, or what? Really? Do you think he just ran over to that house and was like, I'm going to do this tonight? Went in there, unalived all those kids, hopped in his car. Well, what's the quickest way out of here? Hell, I'm going to go that way and hope for the best. No. No. Stop it.
Hope for the best.
Heather said before, he turned off Wi-Fi, just completely off 2 days before the murders happened. But he also used incognito mode consistently. So on Google Chrome, using that extra layer of security that they've built in so that people can't see what you're searching and doing, he was doing that as well.
So there's a lot that you're pretty sure he was doing that you weren't able to see.
Absolutely. But thank goodness he made mistakes. So people don't realize if you bookmark something, or Jared can talk a little bit about autofill, but when you're typing things into a browser, the browser wants to remember what you're typing in those boxes so it can render it faster to you the next time you're on different websites. So things like autofill, bookmarks, and downloads aren't done in a private manner. So they go with everything else. And it's not as easy to clean those up on a phone.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jared.
No, I was just going to keep going on that, but go with your question. We'll get there.
What about Wi-Fi networks? Like you mentioned, you turned his Wi-Fi off, I think a couple days before the murders, but could you see which ones he was connecting to before or after?
There's a record of just a few. I mean, I think it was maybe,
WSU, Washington State University.
yeah, maybe 5 Wi-Fi networks that were still saved in his device that he had connected to, which is low. I think normally, devices would have.
Yes, Dan, we are aware of all the Brent Kopaka stuff over here on this channel. All of it.
But a ton. I have a ton of Wi-Fi that I've connected to over time, and they just persist. But he had just a few, and it wasn't anything super notable from what we could see.
Was there anything that stood out, like in relation? A lot of people have been talking about the Mad Greek restaurant where one of the victims worked. Was that in his phone?
It was in the Google Maps cache,
Hmm.
which means if you open Google Maps and you search for nearby restaurants, or if you typed in Mad Greek, it was physically on his phone. He could see it, but it doesn't show that he connected to the Wi-Fi. It just shows that he had interest in that restaurant. And sadly, there wasn't a timestamp associated with it. It was in a passive file, a passive assist associated to Google Maps.
Pause
Okay.
that for a second. Would you?
Thank you. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, because now here's where I have a problem with them. Okay, because the interview that they did that was in a print article, right, said that it was in the Mad Greek's Wi-Fi
Yep.
was in his passive Wi-Fi list or whatever, and they described it completely different. Now they're saying this is related to, oh, he searched for the Mad Greek
Yeah.
on Google Maps.
Yeah, it's a big discrepancy, and
Huge.
it is, and I don't know. How that came about, where that discrepancy came from. If it was just a misinterpretation by the print media when they printed what they said, or if they, it's like everybody running with these headlines, oh, the killer said Kaylee's name, as if that's fact when it's not.
Right.
But the fact that he did search the Mad Greek, I wish there was a timestamp on when he searched it.
Well, I wish Brian had asked the question to clarify, to get them to clear that up, what
Uh-huh.
was said in that print article, because I know he knows
You
about
know,
that article.
exactly. And that's exactly what I'm saying. I wish that some of these reporters would ask some particular questions of these two, because I've got particular questions
Mm-hmm.
that might could help clarify some things.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that if he did search Mad Greek, did it come up under a vegan search, right? A vegan restaurant search, or did it just come up restaurants near me? All those things. How many times have y'all searched restaurants near me, right, or whatever? I mean, normally if you live at your house, you don't have to do that, but you know what I'm saying. You can if you're going to a new area. Where can I go?
Yeah,
Food?
that's a huge, huge difference because
Yes.
searching for it is one thing, but it being in your list of passive, Wi-Fi connections means you were either there or you were like immediately next door to
Right.
that place. And I know to the left of it is like offices and residences upstairs or whatever. I think it's another property they own.
There's
I don't remember
actually,
what's to the right.
there, if you go look at the old images of Mad Greek, there were
Hmm.
actually two restaurants on either side of it.
Okay.
Two small restaurants on each side of the Mad Greek.
Yeah,
So
because Shannon Gray was renting an office upstairs, though.
yeah,
Hmm.
you could sat next door to the Mad Greek, and
Hmm.
sat right there and watched her, whatever. But yes, it makes a difference if you did between a Wi-Fi handshake, or just searching it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll go back and find the article because I do want to see
I,
what they
I
said
think I've
again.
got
But
it. Yeah, I've got
you
it
do?
bookmarked. Well, I don't know. I got to look for it too, but I got it bookmarked somewhere.
And
Hmm.
so when he goes back to, and let me know if I'm leaving anything out that's important, but when he goes back to Pennsylvania for a Christmas break, staying with his parents, was there anything significant that he was doing then?
Yeah, I think it got a little weirder.
Oh,
Well, we have more visibility into what he was doing then, I guess is the better way to say it. Um, I think when he was arrested, and Heather has said this before, maybe he had a cleanup process that he wasn't able to do because all of a sudden he was arrested. But we had a good couple weeks there of, I would say, his normal activity. And it was very abnormal, but maybe his normal. And so it was still consistently like lots of communication via email, almost no texting and calling them because he's now with mother and father, right? So the people he talks to, he can just speak to them in person.
no texting or emails. Wonder if they do have texts and emails that they were able to recover, or were they just talking verbally on the phone each and every time? Did he also text mother in between her not answering her calls? I don't know.
But he had some specific searches and activity around serial killers.
What training do these two have? Celebrite experts. Go Google them. Heather and Jared Bernhardt celebrate. It's a simple Google search.
What was the?
Tell him specifically about the website and what he did on Christmas night. I think that behavior is wild.
Yeah. So on Christmas night of 22, just a few days before his arrest, at the very last few minutes of the day and into the early morning hours of the 26th, he went to a website that is serial killer timelines. It's this really rudimentary looking website that just has a list of people, and everything you click, it sort of loads the biography of that person. And
do y'all need me to go pull up who these two are and show y'all how they're experts in the field? At least they're not the salt shaker lady from over there in the Karen Reed case. This is not the same as what's his name up there, Mr. Burgess.
Seemingly just went down the list, just clicking and reading. But a lot of these clicks were actually downloading files to his downloads directory, which he was unaware of, it seems. And so we ended up with this long list of serial killer downloaded PDFs from essentially Christmas night. And one of the ones that stood out was Danny Rawling. And that one he actually downloaded.
And Danny liked to look at the same type of stuff that Koberger liked, about how to have sex with women who can't respond. Those types. That's what Danny did right here in my state to sorority girls several hours from me. Ted Bundy was arrested in my hometown in Florida. Y'all come to Florida and fuck around and find out. Too bad Koberger didn't come here first. Maybe the neighboring county wouldn't have dropped the ball on telling the other county about the car. Maybe one county would have been like, cool, we love y'all to help us, let's work together. This guy goes back to the house the next day after he unalives victims, has sex with their bodies, and cuts one of their heads off and sits it on a table, so it's the first thing the cops see when they come in the door, with his big-ass K-bar knife.
Twice, in the same hour or two of looking.
And he looked him up in November as well, but after the murders in November.
And this was on Christmas night?
Exactly.
Yeah. Just
a lot of the stuff that you see on his devices, you kind of excuse it because of his major, but this doesn't qualify.
And he was also not doing well in school anymore. As of December 15th, he had issues with professors and he was not turning in any work or doing grades. So for him to go from not doing any work to, I have to do all this serial killer research on Christmas night just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. What was the paranoia?
Oh yeah, on 12/29, he searched for psychopath paranoia. Those exact words, serial killer and wiretapping. So we think he was becoming more paranoid. Jared found some cool stuff that he was looking at regarding the car and possibly getting rid of his car.
Yeah, so
Brian didn't do anything with a head, Nikki. It was Danny Rawling, I said. The other serial killer he was looking at, who also chose a K-bar to kill sorority girls with. He's the one that cut the head off the victim. The next day when he went back to the house.
On the 29th, it seemed like he was sort of mentally
And Koberger's obsessed with all of them. I look at serial killers and read about them, but I'm not obsessed and want to be like them, right? I'm not trying to figure out which one to emulate. I'm not trying to figure out what works best for me to get into a house and do all that carnage.
Maybe feeling some pressure somehow from law enforcement. But at 9:02 in the morning, he searched wiretap and then federal wiretap, so a couple different ways looking for wiretapping. At 9:08 a.m., he read a New York Times article. The interesting part of this is in this article, they specifically say the police are still looking for, and they describe his car perfectly. And so that obviously, I think, was a pressure point, because if not for the sheath, at least in that initial phase, the car was the standout other item to look for. At 9:09 a.m., so just a minute later, he read an Idaho homicides update page from out there somewhere. Right after that, he looks for auto detailing shops around where he lived in Pennsylvania. So they're looking for the car. They update about what's going on. I need to get my car cleaned. And then a few minutes later, he's shopping to buy a new car, a
Uh-huh.
used car, but a new used car to him. Different makes and models, certainly not Hyundai's, not Elantras, and not white.
Wow. And this is all coming direct.
I wonder if he was going to try to go back to the dealership where he bought that car from. Because wasn't the defense
Oh, because of the guy being called as a
subpoenaed?
witness.
Yeah. Remember, we were like, why are they calling the guy where you bought the car? Is it to verify he bought the car? Hell, we know he bought the car. He's driving it, right? So, did he contact them or search them to consider maybe trading it in and getting a different car? I don't know.
I don't know, but that guy, when he went to court in Pennsylvania, he said he wasn't sure why he was being subpoenaed, whether or not they even had the right one, because he and his dad and his granddad have like the same, don't they all have the same name? He's like the
Mhm.
third, and I think the grandfather had had the business before, or whatever,
Yeah.
and then the dad, and then he just took it over. So yeah, he said he didn't know why he was being called.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. They don't need them to come verify he bought the car there. We don't care where he bought it. He had it, you know?
Hmm.
It is interesting that I wonder if he contacted them to ask about that. I wonder.
Directly from his computer,
That was all from his cell phone.
his cell phone. So do you think he was doing things like this, searching things like this all along, but he was just doing a better job
No, Nick,
wiping the phone? And then, like you said,
he bought the car from a dealership there in his town.
he just kind of got like hadn't had a chance yet at the end, and that's why you're only seeing this from that last sort of segment.
Yeah. And we've talked, obviously, like we work together, live together. So we talk about this stuff a lot. And the browser gap on the PC that is much more extensive than what we found on the phone is annoying to me. And Jared said maybe he did more research about the victims and his planning and all the things on the PC. And that's why he cleaned it from there. So we don't know. We wonder if that would have given the families more answers on the why, the connections, any type of stalking that happened, but we don't know.
So did you ever find any kind of connection to any of the victims?
The Google Maps search for Mad Greek was sort of the only thing. Other than that, that's not totally true. Post crimes, they're all over the place. I mean, just actively searching. We're able to look for just their names, first name, last name, and that type of thing. And you get hits all over his device. Lots of Reddit. He's participating in Reddit posts or looking at them. Watching YouTube videos about the Idaho murders. I mean, he was very much tracking his own.
Yeah, Joe, it was obvious the dude was becoming unhinged. He was losing his job. Everybody was complaining about him. Red flags are flying everywhere, and we're just going to sit back and quietly discuss what to do about this guy.
Oh yeah, I think he was arrogant enough to think that he was going to commit the perfect crime.
He absolutely was.
Hmm.
And if the sheep hadn't gotten left behind,
Crime. I mean, very actively. He had numerous downloads of like the PDF flyer that the Moscow police released. Like he found it, downloaded it, and it was in his downloads folder.
He Googled himself a lot on his computer, constantly.
Really?
really, Brian's. Because here's the thing, while a lot of people were out there delving into the lives of the victims with a fine-tooth comb, pretending to make up all these not
All
pretending,
their friends.
making up all these rumors.
Mhm.
Dolphin and I chose to go look at Brian Koberger, the one
Mhm.
person that social media didn't want you to look at. You can't look at him like that. He's innocent until proven guilty. Watch me. So none of this is a shock to me or to Dolphin. None of it. So y'all catch up.
Yeah, we've read thousands of pages of documents over the past, what, almost 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And we remember details. So, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that when you mentioned Reddit, do you think he was just reading threads, or do you think he was participating?
I'm not totally sure. So a lot of the
Nikki, I'm gonna have to. I'm not gonna. I don't know what you're talking about. He needed to get a proper full-time job, honey. He was a teacher's assistant at the college, and it came with funding. So maybe you need to do a little more homework. I don't know.
And again, sort of the sources of data. A lot of the Reddit artifacts that we're able to see are actually coming in through his emails.
You know what?
It's
Hold
just
up.
something that he.
Let me. I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say this right now. One thing I don't do here on my channel is creator wars, because I don't give a fuck what other creators are out there saying and doing. But what I do care about is the people who go into all of the pro burger type streams, listening to all they're saying right now, and then coming over here and trying to interject it as if we don't know what we're talking about. You don't have to be here. You're not going to change my mind based on what you saw in Lana's show last night, or whoever else. I know they're out there. I know what's being said. It's been that way for 3 years. I'm just not interested in what they're saying, because they've been dead ass wrong for nearly 3 years. So that's my opinion on that. So yeah, if you don't have to be here to listen to our opinions, guys, but you're not going to change them. Like, I don't try to go into those chats and change the opinions of all those people, because I honestly don't care. Not my job.
I don't think was paying as much attention to cleaning up. He had posted in a couple different threads, but like one was specifically ex-cons and one was something about prisons, asking for volunteers for something. I'm not sure what, but it doesn't seem to have been school sponsored. And there were people emailing him like right at the very end of December saying, "Hey, are you still looking for volunteers for this thing?" So he was busy on Reddit. There was lots of Reddit, visibility in the artifacts that we saw, but I don't have anything crystal clear of him like participating and commenting necessarily on the murders themselves.
Yeah, because we had reported that he was doing like surveys and stuff and trying to find like, criminals, people who are out of prison, like to get in their mind sort of thing. But I'd always just sort of wondered if he was like actively engaging in some of the comments and stuff about his own crime, but I guess we still don't know.
No, it's not clear.
He was definitely interested in reading all he could about it, though.
Yeah.
Was there anything, like you mentioned YouTube, I don't know if you can remember, were there any like particular channels or shows or websites that he would go to frequently to keep track?
We found the knife one, right?
Yeah, there was one YouTube video about the K-bar knife that was post-crime though. Lots of true crime type of, so a lot of this stuff was from screenshots. Like you'd see a picture where he just had a video playing, read the bar at the bottom. The next thing, proposed to him to watch was up top. But it was a lot of like serial killer and true crime type of content.
What about like pornography? Was there anything in that department?
This is where autofill got him.
Yeah, it's super weird. So there's evidence of him viewing pornography. Again, the gap in time around the murders is pretty clean. There's not really much there of anything. But later, there's evidence of him looking at pornography websites. But then the autofill kind of captured some of his search terms specific to pornography. So what that means is he would go to a website and use the text box to type whatever he needed to type to search for. And then that website was, unfortunately for him, saving that term into an autofill category that is not as easy to clear. So while we can't necessarily put a date and timestamp on when he did these things, we did see what was weirdly consistent for non-consensual sex acts that he was searching for. So they're really nasty terms. So I'd clean it up a little bit. Involving rape, drugged, sleeping, and voyeurism.
That's not normal stuff to be looking up, people. I mean, I look at a lot of crazy things. I look at a lot of true crime cases. But if you're like, that's just not normal shit to be looking up. I'm sorry.
And so he was Googling those terms?
Yeah, like that was the thing he typed into the search box is literally what this artifact is. He typed these words and then search.
And was this around Christmas time?
I'm not sure. The timing of them isn't clear. It's just the words are saved.
So
And
you,
usually what we would do is take that artifact and then tie it to the history. But he cleared that piece for us. So we couldn't, that was our missing piece of the puzzle. So we would have all these different things and we couldn't put the puzzle together completely because he had made our jobs difficult. Not impossible, but difficult.
Here's the thing about our Google searches compared to Brian Koberger's. Did we enter a home and kill 4 people and leave our knife sheath there with our DNA on it? No, we didn't.
Nope. Nope. Did we enter a home where that home also contained 3 females who were intoxicated and basically fit the criteria of his Google searches? No.
Thank you. Thank you.
how would you rank him, I mean, in terms of being good at clearing his history? Because in some way, I mean, like I think about him leaving the knife sheath behind, and still all the cell phone records they were able to keep. I mean, he was kind of sloppy in a lot of ways for this criminology PhD. I mean, was it similar with the way he was clearing the history? Was he good at it, or?
I would say that the job was tough, but I don't want to give him credit. The time passed. If he was identified and arrested the day of the murders, we could have told you so many things that we can't tell you 45 days later. So a little bit of credit to him in that he prepared to kill people and then he cleaned up after the fact. But he wasn't in any way perfect, and there's plenty of stories to still be told. Man, my mouth is dry.
His mistakes painted a clear enough picture on his intentions to murder.
Yeah. So had there been a trial, would both of you have gone in to testify?
Yes.
That was the plan?
Yes.
And what would you have said? I mean, obviously you would have had all this evidence and the things you found, but do you think you would have been able to tell a story with it?
So our goal and what we started doing when I said we recreated all that data, we had the exact phone that Brian Koberger has, like same network carrier, everything. I couldn't believe it. It was the perfect alignment of test data. So what I intended to do was essentially show, if you press this button, this is what the file looks like, and this is how I know. And this is the training I have, and this is why you can trust me to tell you these are the exact things he did to try to remain undetected, to clear his digital footprint. So we were going to try to have the lack of data be the loudest voice in his truth.
Yeah, I think the ability to just show up and say that on this night he was awake and physically pressed the button to turn off his phone. And then by the time he turned it back on, these 4 kids have been murdered. That one thing that we were super sure of means that he wasn't at home, he wasn't asleep, he wasn't doing a million other things. He was specifically awake in the middle of the night when this happened. And that one piece, I think, tells a big story.
And this whole stargazing alibi, I guess, doesn't.
That was just dumb. I had to write in a report, a phone can't take a picture while it's powered down. But yeah, that was not the case at all. There wasn't
I would
even or
turn your phone off to go stargazing, you know?
And didn't say he was at Wawa Wee that night stargazing. We'll go back and review the alibi again for all those who need to hear it one more time. But she never said he was at Wawa Wee taking pictures that night. Not one time.
He did that a couple times. He did have pictures of going out, watching a sunset, taking pictures of the moon. That was a thing, but not this night.
Yep.
Were there any other pictures on his phone that just you remember that just sort of were interesting to you?
Yeah, he took a lot of selfies. And what's interesting is he didn't do anything with them. It was like he was documenting himself for himself. So he would take his shirt off and do different poses in mirrors, flexing his muscles, like try to get a profile picture of himself. Very much like how, what's the actor's name in American Psycho?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, how much he loved himself and how pristine and clean and perfect he always thought he was. That's what it reminded me of. Just admiring himself.
Nikki, you don't. Nikki, you say you don't understand. I don't know what enemy comment. I don't know nothing about that unless I missed it.
Oh,
But
it's
you,
something Jeff said a while back.
well, I've never said Brian didn't do it. I just want to know why he was obsessed with the university when he didn't fit in. It's pretty self-explanatory. You hate what you can't be, maybe? I don't know. Why was Danny Rollins obsessed with college girls? Why was Ted Bundy? We don't know for sure.
It wasn't his students who called him the ghost. It was his fellow classmates back at DeSales nicknamed
Yes,
him the ghost.
they sure did. And let's not forget about the Brian tally. Red flags flying all around this guy, but nobody in Pullman thought, hey, he could be that Idaho slasher guy. Not one time. Not one time. But boy, we're reading how the red flags were everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little disgusted by that.
in
So
different positions.
the act of taking a selfie with your shirt
I'm
off
going to get
is
fresh
not
coffee.
a big deal.
Okay.
Normally, something else happens with that picture. It gets texted, emailed, posted, something. Just nothing. It was just like recording himself.
Wow, that's super creepy. What about would he send his mother and father any photos? Were you able to tell?
Yeah, not selfies of like that, but he did text his parents pictures.
Yeah, he communicated with them, it seemed, the content of almost every day of his life. So to take a picture of what he saw outside, it was snowing, it was raining, he was at this park, like they received those pictures. That was normal.
And he was still doing his selfies in December in Pennsylvania because there's one, he took two of himself and one mother is sitting in the background over his shoulder.
It's interesting how much he talked to them. I was just thinking about this yesterday because when I was reading all these new police reports from Idaho State Police, like all the complaints from Washington State University fellow students, professors, I mean, there are so many that were complaining about this guy, and people, I mean, women even crying like that they were so freaked out by him. It wasn't the same level in Pennsylvania. Like there were people that were creeped out by him, but not like that. Like people he worked with didn't say that when he was in school there. So I kind of have wondered.
He was escalating, Brian. If y'all go back and do your homework, you'll recall that a lot of the DeSales stuff was online. It wasn't a lot of in-person learning. So go back to the little Northampton Community College. Was he not quite maybe psychotic yet enough to be, I don't know why they can't follow this. It's weird. Then you get there, all of a sudden, now you are in a whole new state across the country for the very first time in your life away from mother and father. And you still need mother to help put you to bed every single night. All of a sudden, they're not there. That controlling environment he needed to help keep him in check was no longer
Yeah.
in place.
He was like a dog off of a leash,
Exactly.
No offense to dogs, but yeah.
True. And I don't know why people aren't using their psychological brains enough with this case, because it's scary and we don't want to, or y'all just the big bad state going after Coburger or whatever. But the signs have been there the entire time. His mother is very well aware of it. Mother knows her child. Mother sensed problems in her child from the time he could probably walk. At least by age 3. And I guarantee you by age 7, this boy was having full-on meltdowns all over the house because you looked at me sideways, or you told me no, you asked me to stop it, or my sister just complained about me. Now let me get all the attention back on me because mother is going to protect me. I'm going to have a big old meltdown now, and they're going to forget how I just hurt Sissy. And it's all going to become about me again. Right, Coburger and mother?
Like if he was
Weirdos.
spiraling because he was away from his parents, like that was his only sort of support system, which it kind of sounds like they were. I was just because there's such a difference in what we've heard from people we interviewed in Pennsylvania versus in Washington. Like, yeah, he was creepy in Pennsylvania, but not like, I mean, he kind of like turned into a monster at Washington State University,
Yeah, I think we heard or read that a professor called him a predator and said that
Yeah.
she knew he would become a predator.
So, wow, let's just give her all kinds of props. She thought he would become a predator.
Yeah.
When? When did she
Oh
think that?
God.
Was it after he was named the murderer?
No.
Was it before the guy drives up? I mean, come on, people. I'm a little aggravated with WSU right now.
Yeah, I think from what you just said, the one thing that from what we
Well,
worked on to
wait a minute.
potentially
Hold on a second.
validate
Pause for a
Okay,
is the
let
second.
me.
support system.
I got you. I got you,
Sorry.
ma'am.
Why are you aggravated a little bit with WSU?
There's multiple reasons, and we're going to get into it here and eventually, but with the
Okay, because
investigation
I was
part.
going to say they
Yeah.
were, like following the steps to basically, get rid of him and whatnot and document
Yeah, they
everything.
were
And
behind the scenes, keeping it hush hush. And
And
that's,
one of the students in his cohort, that guy Ben, who was the master's student, was like getting ready to report him. Was like typed up a complaint like a few days before the
yeah,
murders, and then he didn't submit it because it wasn't going to be anonymous, and he didn't want Koberger to know that he had reported him to like the student resource center or whatever.
right, right. Nikki Ramsland didn't recommend Koberger for the position out there at WSU. It was a different teacher, and his most of his classes with Ramsland were online. They weren't in person. She's not the one that recommended him.
It seemed like he could not function without that connection.
Yeah. And you have to wonder what that conversation was with his mom um, right after. I mean, that's crazy. So, were you? And what were you sort of preparing for with the trial? Like, were you going to have to be on the stand for days? I mean, was this sort of like weighing on you? Were you ready to go?
It was weighing on me. We have a million things going on, like day jobs. This was never our full-time job. We were brought in to help the FBI because they knew me from Sands Institute, where I train. So it was kind of a sure, we're going to help you because we care. And I love learning from investigations too. So we were just assisting the FBI. It was never a full-time thing. So it was, we got subpoenaed for, hey, the trial's going to be August through November. We'll let you know when. So we had no idea. We're still trying to book our work travel and daily lives, knowing this was going to pop up. But I also think testifying to the lack of evidence versus saying, I found this exact file, look at this screenshot that says I'm going to go commit this heinous crime, was mentally challenging for me.
Yeah, so Heather had reached out to
Yeah, how do you present that to a jury and make it make sense, right? We're not showing you evidence he committed a crime, but we're showing you evidence of the lack of things on his phone. How would you? That would have been, I don't know how the prosecution would have laid that out. I would have liked to have seen it, though.
Yeah,
the
I
FBI
definitely would have too.
and
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
I
the
mean, yeah, I understand what they're saying,
I do
but
too.
yeah. I
Right.
just, when you use some common sense and whatnot, and you think about how active he was. Like I said, looking back at the, remember how we were talking about the search warrant inventories, all the different hardware that he
Hmm.
had and everything, and I said, yeah, Koberger is like a techie, like a tech geek or whatever. I think, like me,
Yeah.
he saves all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I've got probably three laptops, old laptops, sitting right here in my office, and external hard drives and flash drives and all that. So yeah, I was just like, if you know that somebody's like that, with their tech, then it's like it's not hard to understand when you see gaps. Somebody who's, probably always doing something, with their devices or whatever. And then all of a sudden you see this huge gap. Because I don't know if they've already said it because I've been back and forth in chat or whatever, but that he had a huge gap of like October 12th to November 16th specifically,
Yes. And
and
then,
it, yeah.
and then he also reran the eraser file again on November 16th.
Hmm.
November 16th.
Mm-hmm.
How many more times was that the last time he ran it? Or was that, did he run it a few more times after that? Because you have to wonder, was he still looking at information about the crimes even when he got to Pennsylvania? Are they
Mm-hmm.
coming to get me? Obviously he was. He's searching about wiretaps. Why are you worried about wiretaps? That's not
He
part of
was
your
paranoid after that drive, that long drive home, the
right.
2 stops in Indiana, plus the other one that he mentioned, or it
Yes.
wasn't a stop, but the police, somebody flashed lights,
Hmm.
came up behind him, but then went around him, right?
Yeah, went around him.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened to me before. I'm like, why that cop stopping me? And he's like, nope, sorry, I just want to get around you. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so he was looking, doing suspicious activity, and it would have just lumped on and made it more circumstantial stuff to go on top of what he was already doing. Um,
Yeah, I don't think it would have been difficult at all to, show that in court. Because especially a
right.
person his age, the fact that he was in school still, so he's doing, all these different things, whatever, he had more reasons than the average person, that's older than him. You know what I mean? To have
Yeah.
a lot of activity on his phone or his
Yes.
computers.
Right. Exactly.
And
Just like
we talked about
oh,
doing
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I equate it like this. The people here who have heard me mention I'm a gamer, right? So a lot of times, especially if you see me in Discord, you'll see that I'm gaming or whatever too, right? There was a case where a guy was just like that, but he was like gaming, normal. His habit was to do it 12 hours a day, whatever, whatever. And then he went and he committed a murder, and that was like they found in his tech, in his data, that was the one time that this guy wasn't gaming, and everything. But his normal habit is every day, all day, pretty much. So things like that. Um, they could have explained it. I just hope that they would have presented um, more confidently in court than they are right here for this interview. Because I'm like, "Ugh, okay, with them, but
Okay. I agree with you. Never mind. I'm just like,
like a mock trial to prepare just to understand what it might look like for prosecution, for defense. But the information that we found, like some of the things, it was unknown artifacts until this case. So here's a log file. It has a timestamp that's pertinent. What is this file even doing? And so I think the complexity of that, because it's not just like, oh, well, the Celebrate software parsed it and put it on the screen and anybody can just double click and see what it is. It was almost the opposite of that. It was almost all unknown artifacts. And so that would have been a little difficult, but okay, because we did the testing to validate it.
What did you think when you found out there was the plea deal? Did you just find out like everybody else, like just in the news, or?
I think we heard they reached out to us and said that
y'all, they didn't call him the ghost because he wasn't showing up to class. Did y'all misunderstand? They called him the ghost because of the way he looked.
I
Man.
believe that he may be taking a plea, but we have to wait for sentencing before, because we were under the gag order. We couldn't say anything or do anything. So we heard from the investigative team that was going to happen. And this is where Jared has law enforcement background. For me personally, sad for the families because they wouldn't be able to hear things, but also relieved for the families because the stuff they would hear would probably cause even more trauma. But knowing for ourselves, the burden of helping find him guilty wasn't on us anymore. Like he was kind of doing that himself. But I do wish, I knew he wouldn't. I wish during the sentencing that he would have said why, but everyone wishes that.
Yeah, I'm sure even just for your own personal curiosity, considering you had to like go through his phone and try to solve this puzzle, it would have been probably.
I just can't imagine. I don't know. Now that we've talked a little bit with Olivia, and we plan to go visit the families and just let them ask us questions and talk to us and show that we did this for them.
Oh God.
mm-hmm.
Oh, damn it. We're going to need big old bags of popcorn when that happens, because Steve's going to come unleashed. I'm not sure I can blame him anymore. You beat my daughter's face in as bad as you did Kaylee's, and I might not have been so nice standing there in that courtroom. And when everybody wants to talk about how they got away with saying those things to Koberger in the courtroom, I beg you to go back and watch victim impact statements over the past 20 years in other court cases. You will see it was done way worse. Some of the things that these family members say to their defendants, and I don't blame them. And they were never thrown out of the courtroom for it. Hell, you got the right to stand there and say it. You're like, well, why'd they let him talk to Koberger like that? Shit, I'd have said a whole hell of a lot worse. Bash my child's face in and then sit there for 3 years talking about how I'm innocent. Oh no, I'm going to take a plea deal now because you're about to throw mother under the bus. Mother can't handle it. I guess I'll take that plea after all. Fuck.
So we want them to have as much truth as possible. But just thinking of your 21-year-old, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I can't imagine what they feel.
And Brian, we were like this much of this case. You know, this phone thing and some stuff on a computer. The investigative teams had mountains of data and sources and interviews and things to work through. So we would have been a blip on the radar in this trial, but I think we would have had a few important things to say.
Do you think his defense in connection to the stuff that you found would have just been like, oh, he's a criminology PhD student. Of course he's into serial killers. Of course he would be looking.
Yes, Dan, we can't forget. We've known for 2 years that Brian Koberger got an internship and he was undercover and he stumbled upon something that the government don't want out there, right? So they stuck it to him. Guy's now sitting in prison getting yelled at through the vents.
At the murder that happened right in his backyard. I'm guessing that's probably what Ann Taylor would have come back with.
So that was, I think, going to be very challenging because I think the prosecution would have wanted to put forth almost all of these details, and the defense would have not wanted the jury to hear them because of the excuse of his studies. So I'm actually not sure how it would have played out. I think that
Exactly. Anne would have said all of this searching he was doing was related to his schoolwork.
Yeah.
Because you can't prove it wasn't and you can't prove it was.
So true.
So it's circumstantial stuff at best.
We could have painted a picture of the reality of what he was doing and when and how it wasn't aligned with his studies, but it would have been a court argument for the judge to decide.
What would Hitler have said?
Obviously you were very, not that you're scientists, but kind of you are. The way you go at it, it's very like black and white. But has this been emotional for you guys at all?
It would have been hard to decide what Hitler would have decided on something like that because of the fact that he agreed with the defense about the farm road stop. Let's redact everything in this little video except he's driving that white car. Let's redact the conversation about seatbelts not being, safe, and redact the part about not wanting to give up his ID. It was like, why is this video so bad? Why did the defense sat right in court and said exactly why, every specific point of that farm road stop, why they didn't want it in. You're welcome to go back and watch it. I've actually think I did a video. It may be on the channel. But it's literally the defense's words. They wanted the entire farm road stop kept out because it didn't make their guy look good. End of story. And the judge agreed.
I'm just thinking too, like we've been covering it, but you've kind of been working behind the scenes in secret. No one even knew you were doing this. Has it been like hard?
More so now that we read things and we're like, oh, wow. So we didn't know that he went back to the scene of the crime when we talked about those call logs. We didn't know that. We would have found that out in the trial as well. So seeing the things get pieced together and what the entire investigative team does makes it seem more real. Because when we went into this, we wanted to just look at the data, try to not have emotional ties to it. We didn't watch anything in the media. We didn't watch Dateline. We didn't talk to anyone. So we tried to just let the data tell us the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jay, didn't want to get, he gave up the ID, but go ask the defense why they didn't want it in. They are the ones that didn't want it in, right? Prosecution's like, we're going to bring this in. Defense is like, not so fast. You can't.
Yeah. They didn't want it in because of the time of the night, that it was, and where he was. Because he was close to the house. He just came from the house, basically.
She specifically said a juror could misinterpret what my client is saying to the officer. Alyssa Missoff said that in court about the Farm Road stop. The jurors could misinterpret Brian Kohberger. I mean, I didn't say it, the defense did.
It might sound cold, but we were insulated from the details. And so all of the things that have everyone so emotional and spun up about everything, people that have nothing to do with this case, we weren't encountering those feelings because we just avoided it. So we stayed focused on the one thing that we had in front of us and didn't pay attention to the noise.
So you didn't get to see any of the other details. It was literally just, you were just focused on what you could find in the laptop and the phone.
And then guidance from prosecution and FBI saying, hey, can you all look for this thing now? Can you look for this thing now? So they would give us the guidance on what they needed, and we would dive deep and give it right back.
Yeah, you could ask us a question that you're super sure of right now, and I would say I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, wow.
But after the fact now, getting to talk like with one member of one of the families, like that is where we realize now, okay, we might be able to say one thing that answers a question or that makes these people cope or feel better. So we'll do that.
Yeah, what did that feel like talking to Olivia? Because I'm assuming it was kind of like a job, and then it sort of transfers into like, oh, these are real.
Yeah. Well, when she reached out, and I told her this, when she reached out, I thought,
are we still going to do this, y'all? Are we still 3 years later going to talk about how cheap it was to shop in Moscow versus Pullman? My God. Let him out today. Who's got the fucking key? He didn't do anything wrong, did he? No, he didn't. That's not his sheet. That's not his DNA. He ain't even real. He's fucking AI. This is all a big ruse. And we're all idiots in the game. Can we stop talking about how it's cheap? WSU Kim told all of y'all that. How many of y'all live there? I only know one person in my chat that lives close enough to tell me. WSU mom Kim came out here and told everybody, well, you're going to go to Pullman, from Pullman to Moscow. It's cheaper to shop. Okay. Fine.
thought it was fake. I'm like, someone's being nasty. This is someone on social media that found us and just wants to pretend to be her. But then she gave her phone number and we went back and forth. And initially, all they wanted was potentially a Zoom, just a Zoom call to talk to us. And Jared pointed out there's so much emotion and then people trying to talk over each other on Zoom. It's not as, I don't know, a soft landing as being in person.
Yeah, you can never beat being in person. Is there anything else I left out, like that comes to mind, that you found on the phone or the computer, or anything else, any other little nugget?
Well, we're going to have a question and answer session today. DA, do not offer plea deals if they can prove a case. Well, apparently Brian thought they could prove it. He agreed to it, right? If he thought the state's case was as weak as hell, why would he take a plea deal? And I want a logical answer and not this crazy undercover government big bad shit.
Yeah, and they didn't offer the deal.
No.
The defense asked for it.
Yep, the defense approached them. The first time the defense approached Brian Kohberger, he said no. And then it came out in the court about the family Google search, the family shared computer. Go right back to Casey Anthony. And the Google search is done by the family shared computer. And what happened to Casey Anthony? She walked out the door. And to this day, she's run amok in this country. And people's like, oh, there's Casey, there's Casey. Because the state of Florida blew the case against Casey Anthony.
Um, so if you asked us both to do nothing else but work on this one phone, we could go a year and still not look at every file.
Yeah.
Like it's such an immense amount of data that comes out of cell phones. Um, there were some emails that I'm not sure we talked about. Heather alluded to an email from a professor where she was essentially trying to set up a meeting with him because he had had some raised voices encounter with another professor in the office.
Raised voices.
The rest of that story is a few days later, they sent another email terminating him from his TA, his teacher's assistant position for the spring semester. He had written back a sort of no.
I don't know, Dan. Maybe they were trying to dispel all the rumors that were running around out there on social media that the cop did that, right? It was really a cop car that you saw. Yeah, I don't know. They got, everybody, when Linda Lane and 112 come out, it was like, oh, it's a green car. It's a green car. When you look at the farm road stop, when the cop's approaching Brian Koberger's car and the lights hit it a certain way, has a green tint to it a little bit. So maybe they were out there testing stuff like they were testing barking dogs. Who the hell knows with this little tiny ass police department? They didn't find Brian Koberger. Let's get this straight. Moscow Police Department did not find Brian Koberger.
They were holding the FBI's beer, right?
Exactly.
Trying to appeal it and was saying, I won't have health insurance. I don't have money for tuition. So this getting fired from the TA position was going to be a big deal that he wasn't going to be able to return for school.
Yep, and that was a trigger.
See, actually, pause that. That right there is proof that he knew that he was being fired,
Exactly.
Because remember they had said, all we had heard a long time ago was that they had mailed a letter, but he wouldn't have gotten it because he had already left for his cross-country drive. But they also emailed him to let him know. So, and that's why he was telling his dad in the car that he was going to appeal it or whatever.
Exactly. Brian Koberger knew when he left Pullman that his job was in jeopardy. He already knew it. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't a surprise. It wasn't that he didn't know before he ever left. He knew. And it's being brought out in all these documents. And there are numerous emails about this guy. What I don't understand is why they're having these conversations about him and WSU, and they're making statements like, oh, he could be a future offender. Nobody thought for 1 second, he might be responsible for what happened in Moscow. Give me a break. I think I lost my place.
Live together. So we talk about this stuff a lot. And the browser gap on the PC much more extensive than what we found on the phone. So it was kind of sure, we're going to help you because we care. And I love learning.
This was almost over anyway.
The Zoom call.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this getting fired from the TA position was going to be a big deal that he wasn't going to be able to return for school. I'm trying to think
Here's the thing, Dan. Witness number 2, DoorDash driver, was about as unreliable as Dylan Mortensen.
Yeah, definitely. Jesus.
So your two biggest witnesses, potential witnesses, were very problematic. Did that help Bill Thompson's decision? I get it. Y'all gonna start hollering at me in a minute about he's only, he takes plea deals with everybody. Well, go look across the country at plea deal statistics and get back to me. But your two main witnesses were incredibly problematic. But they didn't go in there and put a sheath with their DNA in the house either. Okay. So we're going to take that one down, though, because I don't think they have much more left to say there.
Yeah, there was something else, though, kind of in the middle that I was going to make a comment about, and I got distracted by chat, and I don't remember what else was there. Actually, I probably need to close chat, to be honest. But yeah.
I know I'm trying not. Sometimes I like to read chat, but then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, they're distracting me to the point where I can't concentrate.
Because I'm sitting here typing back, and yeah. Then I was like, oh wait, did they say what I? Yeah.
Why did he start testing after eyewitness said red head spike? Molly ain't no eyewitness. She claims that she saw people in the house upstairs in the window, dark-haired girls, like even though it was dark and she could not see the house numbers, but she could see through the window and what color hair these girls had. I don't. Molly didn't see Brian Koberger. And if you watch the video that Statesman released 15 times speed and that one car zooms out, that's the car that Molly saw. But it's going so fast on the video, we can't see it. So, I mean, I get having questions about this case, but at this point, the questions that we should be asking are not being asked. We're still talking about crazy stuff about how he, I don't even.
I need to go get something to drink because I need to take a couple
Go right
goody
ahead.
powders. Okay.
I just took one. Damn it, we're the same.
I hear you. I'll be right back.
Instead of grabbing coffee a second ago, I went ahead and got a Coca-Cola instead and come back in here and got my goody powder. I need to make a run down to the damn corner, get me some gummies. I ran out. Been sick, didn't care. Now today I'm like, damn, I'm gonna need one. We can't look. I don't hold no stock in what Molly says. Right? Molly's out there walking around with a flashlight at 4:00 in the morning with a slasher running around, and I don't know what Molly's doing out there. Molly was never going to place Brian Koberger in that house, right? Never. Not in my opinion. And I don't know what she saw when she was out there. Yeah, she saw the cop car. Well, we assume it was the cop car. They said it was making rounds. Why does that? Y'all still think the cop car was really the killer's car? Is that what we're doing? Nikki, they were going to be put on the stand to talk about, the only thing Molly could testify to is, I don't even know if they were going to put her on the stand, to be honest. They didn't need Molly to testify to dropping off a DoorDash at a specific time, because the damn DoorDash records are going to tell them what time that order was placed, who ordered it, how it was paid for, where it came from, what time it got picked up from the restaurant, what time it got dropped off in front of that house, and what time Molly said end delivery and got her payout and drove away. They didn't need Molly for any of that. Dylan, you just need, I mean, it is what it is. If y'all watch enough trials, you'll see how some witnesses brought on by the state can be torn apart by the defense and vice versa. That's all I can tell y'all, to go watch some other stuff, I'm just, I don't, people want to still make weird, the only, there's no weird shit to me anymore. What's not weird is why WSU and Moscow couldn't figure out this guy's car. And how did they find it in November in WSU by two different cops 30 minutes apart, and still 1 month later, Moscow still didn't know? And during that whole time, you got a whole team of people at WSU discussing the odd behavior of Brian Koberger.
I'm back.
So you got a car found twice, 30 minutes apart, and a month later, they still don't know the name of that person in that car until the FBI tells them. And in the whole entire time that month long is happening, all these talks over there at WSU about his bizarre behavior. Something was missed, or was it kept hush-hush on purpose by the university? Shh. This is crazy, right? I'm going to look at that in a minute. The unreliable witness ended up with a red-headed driver of a tan car that had been called. Who called the tan car an Elantra? Not me. I got to stop. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and argue with this shit all day. I don't really need to. The car was back there. So what? There's a lot of cars back there parked all over the place. People, guys running out of houses, people walking from one house to another. Nothing unusual. I'm not forgetting Molly's timeline. I don't think Molly saw what she claims she saw in the DUI.
She's wrong about the timeline anyway.
Yeah.
She was there, yeah, she was there for about 15 minutes, but that was she was fumbling around trying to find the house. So if she delivered the food at 3:59, when she finally found the house number, then she was gone. So she was there before 4 o'clock, like up until 4 o'clock.
And after the DUI video stop came out and Molly says on there, I parked right next to Koberger, man, the prosecutors went and pulled all of that to look at it. And they're like, what is she talking about? Because Molly never states in her statements to police that she saw that car or she parked next to Brian Koberger. She never said that in her statement to the police. That was what her statement was during her DUI. So I don't know about old Molly. Molly could have been easily, I don't know what she would have testified to, honestly. And they didn't need her to set up a timeline on the delivery.
Probably not much of anything because even in that report about her, they said that he pulled in behind her to turn around, and they didn't think that she saw him then either. You know.
I don't. If you look at the footage, it also appears that maybe she did come in and then she left before he entered back. He was in some at one point when she's back there parked behind the house and gonna get out and walk around with their little flashlight. Was he back there behind Linda Lane? I don't know. I can't tell y'all what Molly was doing or thinking or what Molly actually saw or how it wouldn't have hurt the case. If Molly got on the stand and said, well, all I saw was a tan car and a guy with red spiky hair, would that have mattered to a jury? Still got DNA on a sheath. I still got a lot of other stuff. So Molly is no count to me. Molly is off the table. Like for real. Molly, this case wasn't going to ride or die on what Molly said on the witness stand. It just wasn't. Woman didn't witness nothing. She's lucky she didn't get slashed. Could have been a whole lot different for Molly. Okay. There are some interesting things in some of these reports we're going to get into. I'm going to have to finish going through some of them because there's almost 600, and I'm not going to read each and every report because some are so repetitive and some are stuff we know. I'd rather touch on stuff we don't know yet or hadn't learned yet, or maybe deep dive a couple of them a little more. And we're going to be getting into that eventually, but just not today. I don't have the energy for all of that. But
Yeah, I started adding bookmarks to the PDF
good, because
too, but
there's some of the ones I've seen that I would like to discuss with you as well. And I just like this week has just been
okay.
a big blur, and I just haven't, had the time to even do it or the strength. And I wish that people would, especially mainstream media, quit promoting that, the killer said Kaylee's name because
hmm
it's just
I
weird
do too.
that they would do that and
hmm
not try to explain it or pick it up in the proper context. You know, even going to where Dylan claims she thought it was Kaylee running down the stairs, because we
Yep.
all wear Doc Martens. Well, guess who else was probably wearing boots that night?
hmm
The killer. Was the killer getting it down them stairs? Boom, 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 boom. And that's what she heard. And so she don't think a killer's in the house at this point. So it's got to be one of the roommates, right? I don't think it was one of the roommates. Couldn't have been Kaylee running down the stairs in her Doc Martens because we know what was going on with Kaylee. I'm still not convinced that Xana ran up there the way the prosecutor wants us to think she ran up to the stairs, because they're basing that on what Dylan heard. Dylan didn't hear two sets of people coming down the stairs. She heard one set of person coming down the stairs. So which one was it? Koberger or Xana? Or both?
Yeah, but this chick, I mean, I don't know if I can, take anything,
I know.
like 100%.
Me neither.
So maybe yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about her just saying, "Oh, only one set of
Well,
people,
she said that
or
she
whatever,
heard
one set of footsteps."
her statement says that she thought she heard Kaylee running down the stairs with her dog, and we all wear Doc Martens.
Mm-hmm.
One person coming down the stairs. So I don't think that that was one of the roommates she heard. I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
chance it could have been Cobra coming down. And still, maybe Xana did go up the stairs because she heard something. But then again, maybe he was coming down at the same time Xana was coming in or out of the kitchen. There's that possibility as well.
That's what I think because, like I said, in the crime scene pictures, that bag on the floor in Xana's room is a Taco Bell bag, and that purple packet on her desk is a sauce packet from Taco Bell. So that's got to be Ethan's food, and then her bag, they have said that that bag in the kitchen in these reports now are saying it had her name on it, and it was a Jack in the Box bag. That's what she had delivered that night. I think that that is her Jack in the Box bag from that night,
Hmm.
and which means she was back in the kitchen. She went downstairs to the front door to get the food. She came up, ate it wherever she ate it, maybe in her room, whatever. She took that bag to the kitchen.
Yes.
So if she went around the corner to the kitchen, then she probably did hear something. So, like you said, maybe they ran into each other when he was coming down the stairs, or maybe she heard something and kind of like went to the stairs and called up, or took a couple of steps up, or whatever. Who knows? But yeah.
Right. And Jet, I agree. And Kaylee wasn't wearing Doc Martens that night. Go look at the Grub Truck video. Kaylee has on white sneakers, right? Maddie had on the black boots, but they came off when they got home. So why would they still be up wearing their Doc
Yeah,
Martens?
at 4 in the morning. Oh, also, I don't know if you've read this in the reports yet, but there was blood and a hair on the wall outside of the second floor bathroom.
Yes.
So,
I've
yeah.
kind of I've skimmed through some of that, and yeah, there's some things that I think that it feels like the ISP. I don't know because we still of the people who received those 200 photos. There's only a handful that have been released to the public, through the media,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like the lack of blood, and people are talking about that. Well, there's blood in the bedrooms, obviously, but if you start pouring through these documents and what the ISP notes where all the blood was,
Blood on the pong
that,
table. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then there's the blood drop on the stairs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy, and I don't know.
People expect it like, I don't know, slasher movie, Carrie, horror movie, like the walls just totally painted with blood is what people expect it.
Well, like they describe in one of the documents, because that the way the mattress, and plus, if the girls had a blanket over them, mostly over them, and in the middle of that blanket was saturated with blood, was he stabbing through the blanket? That's what I want to know. What as well, was there stab marks in the blanket, or did he toss the blanket over them once he did it? If things were happening fast and Xana was running upstairs, he ain't got time to throw a blanket over nobody. It's just got to go, right? Got to go. But that blanket in the bed appears to absorb a lot of it, right? Maybe it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't so much spatter going everywhere because there was a blanket over them. I don't know. But there was blood in that house, um, in different various places all over the place.
Actually, I mean, I hate to get graphic, but the arterial sprays
Uh-huh.
could be how that blood got on top for the pooling.
Yeah. And there was blood on the ceiling in some of
Mm-hmm.
these. It's just, and it does also look like maybe when he was in Xana's room, and I agree with um, Joseph Scott Morgan's assessment on that. That
Mm-hmm.
did he go to exit Xana's room? He turned around and he's standing there
Stood,
looking.
in front
Those
of
are the
that closet.
drops.
Yep.
And the
Yeah.
drops are coming off the knife and hitting the floor. Right? That makes perfect sense. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather go listen to a professional who has analyzed
Same.
thousands of crime scenes
Same. Yep.
versus someone. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I've been out here looking for, his interviews, just anybody else that, like you said, is an
Think,
expert, a professional that,
yeah,
I've
think
seen for years.
he had a really good. He's done a couple. Joseph Scott Morgan has, but he had a really good one the other night with Oh, I don't ever watch this guy. Oh, Gavin Fish, that's his name.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
He did an interview with him, and I listened to that because with being sick all week, I've been sleeping like 2 hours. So when I wake up, I'd find something to listen to, and I'd fall back asleep during it. That was one of the things I did listen to was that interview. Um, it was very interesting, right? I love to listen to him talk about the CSI stuff, and it just made a lot of sense. Yeah, no DNA of Kopackas. People still on the Kopacka thing. Thank you, Lord, let that man rest in peace. Because that's too easy for Brian Koberger to throw the man under the bus. The man's dead. It would have been too easy. People are not thinking sometimes. He could have easily said, yeah, I gave that guy a ride over there to that house that night, and I didn't know what he did when he ran inside. He stole my sheath first, and then he ran back out and said, let's get the hell out of here, and I just did what he said.
Speaking of him, has anybody FOIA'd his the police report for the 15th, the SWAT incident and all that?
I think
I mean,
somebody did.
besides the body cam, I'm talking paperwork.
I don't know because the people who are interested in that are
Hmm.
interested in it to try to prove he did these killings, and I have no interest in that. So I
Hmm.
honestly couldn't tell you. The ones who are out there stuck on Kopacka are convinced Kopacka's the killer.
Oh, Betsy Ross. Yes, yes. The
What?
YouTube video, she said that she heard the Barnhart said he viewed a YouTube video about the knife. Do you
Hmm.
think it was a video where you show the snap? When was that made? I actually, I don't know if we looked at this together or if it was just me and Firefly. I might have mentioned it. Remember, I told you there's a guy on YouTube, and he's I think like Dutch or something, and he did videos. He does videos about knives, right? And he did this one video about the K-bar knife, and basically he was showing how strong it is. He
Yeah.
like chopped wood with it. He did all these tests, chopped wood with it, hammered on it, used it to stab like a cinder block, all kinds of different things to basically show you how durable they are. And yeah, I actually was wondering when I heard that, is that the type of video that he watched?
Oh, look, he knew when he ordered the K-bar what he was ordering.
Mm-hmm.
He knew. If you go listen to that interview with Joseph Scott Morgan about the K-bar, you cannot sit here and tell me Brian Koberger didn't know all that already when he ordered it back in that March. Like he didn't just decide. I think if he was watching videos, he was watching what people on YouTube were saying. Not a he may have been looking at a specific knife video, but why when you already know what your knife's capable of doing, right? So was he watching videos about himself? I don't know. But Joseph Scott Morgan talks in detail about that K-bar and how that weapon is used for multiple purposes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Multiple purposes. They will dig freaking holes with it. It
Yeah.
has a groove. There's a groove in the blade of that knife to help the blood drain down away from that knife so it's not as slippery. There's a lot of things about that K-bar that are interesting. Well, yeah, Jeff, he might have been planning to use it again if he ordered a sharpener. Or did he order a sharpener to make it extra, extra, extra sharp? You want to make sure, I mean, I don't, I can't wrap my head around some people's thought process anymore, and I'm not even going to try anymore.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my goody powder to kick in. But did you see what Firefly asked?
Let me check up. Let me get my
Because yeah, we were talking about that. We were going through the reports this weekend.
and Firefly, by the way. What'd she say here? Let me go back.
She
Oh.
says, "What about the hotel stay at the end of June where BK left a key card for somebody?"
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, that is hella interesting.
I don't know about that yet.
Okay. What do you call it? He stayed at the Pullman Quality Inn June 30th to July 1st of 2022.
Right.
So think about that. That's right when he had, gotten out there, drove out there, blah, 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 right? His dad, I don't know. Do we know when his dad flew back
I was about
after
to
that
say,
drive?
That would depend on when Dad flew back, and that I don't know that.
Okay. Because here's the thing, right? So we were thinking dad, but when you look at the report, the redacted name that they have
Mhm.
is way too short to be Michael, right? And honestly, I hate to say it, but it's about 5 or 6 letters.
Yeah.
Okay. And since we were just talking about Kopaka, and so get this: this is a man who has what 16 contacts in his phone. He didn't know anybody out there, right? Before he moved out there, who is he leaving a room key for? Because the report basically says he gets, and oh, the girl at the front desk was new, had only been there like I don't know a couple months, so she's new. He booked his hotel stay on Expedia, had already prepaid. They get, he gets to the front desk. She only saw him, so nobody. And they talked to several hotel workers. Nobody said anything about seeing anybody else with him. Okay, not even his dad. Okay. Um, he prepaid through Expedia. She is checking him in or whatever. She accidentally charges him again, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I've already paid." Da da da. So he gets really upset, kind of in a rage, right? So she's like, "Oh no, I can fix it." Once she fixed it, he calmed down and was nice again. And I think she said she thought he might have been a little flirty with her or whatever. But anyway, so he's there basically overnight, and he requested a spare key card for the room, right? And he said, leave it at the front desk in the name of, and they had it redacted. It's about 5 or 6 letters. The way that I could tell that is looking at the line above and counting the number of letters that are right above it, basically matching the width, right? So, and they said that as far as they knew, nobody came to pick up the key. They talked to the night auditor for June 30th. They talked to the night auditor for July 1st, and whoever was working the desk. I think the guy was like on the desk earlier in the day too. They talked to like I think 5 people in this report. And then, yeah, nobody ever came to pick up the key, but it's like, wait a minute, you drove out here. You're just moving out here. You're new to this area. You don't know anybody. Who are you leaving a hotel room key for? Your dad would have been with you. So you don't
Well,
need to
yeah.
say, hey, he'll come by and pick it up because you could have just gotten it and given it to him. You know what I mean? That
Well,
I find extremely interesting.
if the key card was being left for Brent Kopaka, then Brian Koberger has decided I'm going to take the rap all by myself and not throw my dead friend under the bus with me. I don't know why he would protect Kopaka. I don't know why he wouldn't say, "Hey, I did it, but he did it with me." I don't know.
I mean, but he's
Ah, Black
even if
Hawk
he's
coming in.
deceased anyway, so you
Black
know.
Hawk coming in hot. I was wondering where you
Oh,
was
5 letters like harsh.
Boy, I went down every rabbit hole with him on that. Every video that you came out with, I was there for it. I
Oh,
get
like Enon harsh. Okay, thank you.
yes. Look,
I'm glad you said that because I was thinking you meant harsh reality.
oh God, no, 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 no. I don't go across the
Like, wait,
pond.
what?
You know better. Mm, I can't with that guy. I don't even. Who?
But
Harsh.
that's what I'm saying. Just
Yeah.
everybody in chat, just like stop for a second. Stop with the jokes and whatever,
Yes.
whatever. Just stop for a second and really think about what I just said. He didn't know anybody, from what we've heard. His
Mm,
dad, when he moved into the apartment complex, met some guy in the parking lot and was basically like setting up a play date for him. Like, oh, could you hang out
right.
with him? Could you do stuff with him? Because he doesn't know anybody out here. He doesn't have any family out here. Da 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 da. So, would he be leaving a key card to his hotel room for?
Um.
Think about it. It just
mm,
doesn't make any sense.
It don't make any sense. And it would be nice if they would unredact some of that stuff. But then again,
Oh, that's it. That's it. That's it. I'm
what?
sorry. Let me interrupt you really quick.
Go ahead.
Blackhawk just reminded me the thing that I got distracted about earlier. Reddit. Okay. Um, the couple, the Barnharts, what they said about Reddit, that's another thing that I kind of have an issue with because in this video, they said they just kind of like, I don't know, glossed over it or whatever. But in that print article, They supposedly said specifically that Reddit had contacted him to say that he was banned for what he had posted. It was like something that he posted. It was the content, the type of content
Yeah,
that he posted violated their terms or whatever
yeah, I saw
of
that.
service or something, remember? But in
Mhm.
this interview with Brian Enton, they sort of like glossed over that. They didn't say that, they were just kind of like, making it seem like he was just, surfing Reddit
Yeah.
or whatever.
Like, I'm
I
tired of
was
the
like,
glossing.
yeah,
Y'all just speak about it. We're all damn well
you've
adults.
got the details and just, yeah, say it.
Really,
Yeah.
right. Just get it out there. Um, and that's part of what they were talking about on the show I watched last night, just getting it all out there and just here it is, it's what it was, and let's talk about it. And
Hmm.
then there's just so many. I still feel like going back to the beginning of this case, it may not have gotten out of hand if law enforcement was better about handling media when it comes to all cases going forward. We are so tired of hearing, well, we got to keep it close to the chest. You do? Because then you come out and admit you've lied to the public, just like they did in Idaho. Kevin Flixler says that on a show with Brian Enton, how now that he's asked them, well, what about, early on we were going around and asking y'all, why were you going around the area looking for K-bar purchases? And they're like, oh, no, we're just looking for, you know, fixed blade. No, they were, and they admit they were lying. They didn't want it out there. I get why, part of why they wouldn't, but then again, it may have helped with tips, real good tips, not this fake bullshit we've seen in these documents. Some crazy woman or crazy guy got it out for somebody and calling in these weird tips, that never panned out. Um, Legitimate tips may have come in. Who knows? How much time was lost in that month between WSU finding the car twice in 30 minutes and a month later the FBI is going, oh, here's your guy. How much was lost in that month? How many women were at risk during that month? That's what I got a problem with WSU right now. How many women were at risk for 4 weeks before Brian Koberger was arrested? Oh, well, he had to get out of town and save himself, all that. He could have killed somebody on the way out if father hadn't have flown across country to ride back with him and had that experience together. Who's afraid of blood? I don't know if I'm afraid of blood. um, well, everybody's obsessed with some of this stuff. I don't know. Some things people get hung up on with this case. It's like where's the deeper conversation? How come nobody
Hmm.
really wants to dive into the mind of this guy and own what was there right in our faces? Look at this bizarre behavior in court. Anne said, I need to tell the jurors ahead of time. Why my guy is sitting here looking all odd? And then you got the prosecution saying, we never plan to use level 1 autism as mitigating. We got better things to use. Oh, really? Better things to use? Like what? And while we're talking about Brian Koberger having autism and all of this, don't forget to put in the word sociopath at the same time. Let's not get hung up on the fact that the guy had some level 1 autism, maybe. So, according to America, most of us do. There's a bunch of people out here claiming they got some autism. Hell, I don't know. Maybe we do. Right? What if he did go after Jasmine? What was stopping him? Right? If he'd known.
Oh, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You said something and it was like, oh, yeah, because you said you haven't read a whole bunch of the new stuff, right? Uh, the staff and the faculty and different people that he was around at WSU.
Hmm.
Also, in these interviews, there are at least, I think Firefly can help with this, three I think there are at least three women who had creepy experiences away from the university. One had somebody standing outside of her window at her apartment, and I think a neighbor told her that.
Yep.
Another one had somebody jiggle their
The
doorknob.
doorknob.
Yeah,
Is
and then the
one of those
third thing, what
was
was the
married,
third
right?
thing? Hmm?
One of those girls was married, and
A
she had
few of those
called.
girls,
Yeah.
were married. Like I think the doorknob jiggling, the husband I think got up to go out and check or
Well, see
whatever.
that's why my thought process goes back to it was like, why that house? Why those victims? Was it because they were the easiest victims? Did he stake out other girls in other locations? Hell,
Hmm.
according to the Dateline leak, there's all kinds of photos of college girls on his phone. So he wasn't just looking at the victims. It's just he scrubbed everything off about the victims.
There's a report in there too, an interview that one girl and her friend, and they were from WSU, saw photos of themselves on the Dateline
Exactly.
show. So he was
Mhm.
looking at, I think he was looking at girls at WSU at first,
Uh-huh.
and then changed, kind of like his
Well,
tactics or whatever.
so you go to Danny Rawling. Go back to
Hmm.
Danny Rawling. He only picked apartments that backed up to the woods.
Hmm.
One of his victims had a sliding glass door.
Hmm.
Brian Koberger studied these guys. He studied what worked and what didn't.
Yep.
So, am I going to go into an apartment where people can see me breaking in? Hell no. I'm going to try to do it in the dark where nobody can see me. So, do I continue to look for the perfect victim in the perfect circumstance and in the perfect house? Did King Road fit the criteria? Because of where it sat, because it backed up to that dark back parking lot, because you could see everything going on in that house any time of the day or night, because they were just open and kids having a good time and not thinking, as 18, 19, 20-year-olds do, nothing can hurt me. Nothing can hurt me. We're just here having fun. These are our friends. They're not expecting somebody to walk in with a big ass knife. They should have, but they didn't. So I always have to wonder, was that house actually the reason why he chose those victims in the end? Because it was the easiest to get in and out of. And then in one of the reports, didn't he ask the girl about a dog? If she had a dog, what kind of dog she had? Um, he knew there was a dog at King Road.
Hmm. Yeah. I
And he
think
said,
he had been playing with that dog too.
I think so too, Dolphin. How many
Hmm.
times do we hear in reports about the dog running up into the woods, not coming right back? And they're finally, we got Murphy back in. We finally shut the door. Was he back there sitting there in the woods with his little treat? Here, doggy, smell me. Be nice. Get familiar. You want to fill out the dog. Is this a mean dog? Is this a barker? Is he going to freak out when I come in? There's all kind of things to consider. And when we look back at what was the Pennsylvania stuff, Dolphin, where he was in the tree stalking out the Sobo
Oh yeah,
home or the
Bayless's
Bayless, yeah,
second home or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and then how he broke into their home and stole things, how he broke into the neighbor's home, Jeremy's
Sava's
mom, and
home. Yep.
stole. Yeah, and not just once. He broke back in and met her
Yes.
in the kitchen to apologize for breaking in. And she's like, "You need to leave, dude, and don't come back." I'd have sold my house and moved. I'm like, y'all needed co-burgers. Y'all rein in your son a little bit. He's down here at my house again, in my kitchen. You're lucky he's not laying on the floor right now. Because if I run into a person in my house, I don't care how well I know you, my doors are locked to start with. But if I walk out my living room, if I walked out of my bedroom right now and there was a man in my kitchen, guess what's fixing to happen? One of us is going down, buddy. How the hell did you get in my house and why are you in here unannounced? Yeah, Jeff. Well, they were looking at the cute designer dog that all of America was purchasing at that point in time. I'm the opposite of that. I need me a big beefy ass pit bull to protect me. I don't want no little beefy ass dog that can't do its job. Mm-mm.
Mm,
I can't. I've never been a tiny dog person. Although my
me
neighbor's
either.
little tiny dog is like, I call him Killer. Like, I'm not even joking. This little dude is so little, but you cannot mess around these two pieces of property because he is going to let us know you're out there and he is going to be relentless. And some guy pulled up on the other driveway to buy a lawnmower from my son and my neighbors, and he pulled up to the neighbor's house by accident. And when he gets out, like, she literally had to go out there and get her dog because he was trying to attack that man. Little thing, all they can bark. You kick them one swift time, though, it's over. You can't kick my pit bull like that because my pit bull's going to rip you to pieces when you do. Their
Yeah.
job, their job is going to be done, and I'm going to be like, good girl. Yes, because I only have female pits. I didn't do the males. I feel he stalked Murphy, as well, to befriend him. Very
Hmm.
good possibility. This guy was working fast, though, guys. If he got there in, the end of June, he's in his apartment by July 1st, and he's killing by November 13th, he was trying to find victims real fast. It's like that's what he was consumed with from the time he got there, maybe? Did you start looking at all these women from the time you got there? You're like, oh, holy hell. I'm in this big old school. Look at all these pretty girls that won't talk to me. But you already bought your knife before you got there. So there was already some thoughts running. Them thoughts have been running around since he was 14 years old, in my opinion. Those thoughts of wanting to do these types of things. And if you go and look at the stuff he was looking at and studying, you can't sit there and say he wasn't trying to figure out what worked for others in the past and what didn't.
Oh, definitely. Now, you know what though? This Reddit thing, what they said that there were emails and somebody said, "Oh, are you still looking for somebody for, whatever?" I'm like, "Wait a minute. So, did he put like something different, something new on Reddit, like a different type of survey or something? Because this is in December
Right.
or whatever. So, see, I'd want to know more details about that
Me
too.
too. Me too as well. And was it under the old account?
Was it for his next project, so to speak? You know?
Well, the old account that he was under, though, I don't know if he used that same. If they're talking about the same account with them, the experts, if they're
Hmm.
talking about he was using the same Reddit, what's that, Alexar or whatever it was called. If it was the same account or if he had created a new account and was posting stuff that way, I don't know for sure. Um, but I would like to know more. I will find out how much more Olivia can find out from the Barnharts and how much she'll come out and tell us all what they say.
Hopefully, too, that court document with their expert witness statement, the exhibit that they tied to it, will be unsealed.
Yeah, because all of that will be a part of the unsealing in the documents when that starts taking place. And I know they're still working on that. I checked the website this morning, and there's not anything new to report from the docket on the Cobra case.
Today's their 14-day
The
time
14th.
limit on the first batch. Yep,
Okay.
because it was
Yeah,
the
and
4th till today.
I know that the motions in limine for the alternate perp motion that Ann filed was going to be in that first batch. So we'll see if that becomes unsealed as well. And not that I think that whoever she's going to name was the real killer, because I think they got the real killer. I just think that it's going to. I wish people could look at it and say, okay, they did look at these other people and investigate them versus, oh, they never looked at the boyfriends. They never looked. How can they continue to say that when the writing's right there in the documents that they did? Like they even went back and was looking into Jack's mental health status um, prior to the killings and during the breakup with Kaylee. Was there anything said during a therapy session that maybe, you know what I mean? They were looking at all the different, even the weird tips they were getting in, they still had to go and check those out. Um, and it's sad that people waste cops' time with all the stupid theories that they come up with and the crazy tips that they come up with.
Yeah, I'm done with the theories and the questions about why he did it or whatever. I mean, I just show me some facts. Show me what would have
Mhm.
been, shown in the trial. Show me the police reports. I want the Pennsylvania police reports,
Yeah, we're waiting on
because those
those.
are missing too. And
Those are
actually,
missing.
I'm sure there's still some stuff that MPD and ISP haven't like fully shared.
Well, there's not. There's some of that stuff you're going to have to specifically request,
Hmm.
and I've got a list running of there's certain because they're telling you exactly what item number, what exhibits, and what has audio recordings and what don't. For those particular things, you usually got to get real specific in your request. So they're out there. Those requests are
Well,
being made.
where is his interview? When
That
they arrested him, because was it?
is
Who was
that
in
part
that? It
of
was
it.
Payne and ISP. Yeah. Was it
But
Gilbertson?
yeah,
Hmm.
is that under seal though? Is that part of the sealed documents?
His police interview?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They haven't released it yet that I can
Yeah,
see.
that's what I'm saying. They're holding back some things.
I know. And the you would I don't I don't know when they'll start releasing some of that into the FOIA requests that are being specifically asked for. And I know people like Plunder and the Docket and me and the other people out there are putting in requests for specific items. Whether or not we get them and when we get them, we don't know yet. But at least they're coming down. At least I'm not sitting here a year after trial begging a court to get me a transcript of a trial, the way we've had to do in Delphi. We are
Hmm.
very fortunate we're getting these documents now. Of course, it's not Florida like I'm used to. Here it all is. Y'all have a field day. I want to hear all his phone calls to mother from the
Oh, I
jail.
can't wait. Phone calls, snail mail, and messages are
Mm,
they're referenced in these reports, but the transcriptions of them are not out here in these reports yet.
exactly. And there's, when will they begin to release these things so we can, is Ann fighting to keep some of that sealed? Oh, it's private between him and mommy. Well, no, it's not. It's in, these are things are said in the county jail where you're going to be recorded, lady. Just because you're Brian Koberger don't mean you get to hide it all. Shh, don't talk about it. No, sir. If I'm going to talk about Eric Casey Anthony's 2 years of jail calls, and I'm going to sit here and listen to all of Stephon Stern's jail calls, I damn well want to hear Brian Koberger's too. To mother. I want to hear, I need to hear it for my own assessment because I'm telling you, I was never wrong about this guy. I felt it in my gut for a long time, especially when we started finding out little bits about him.
Yep.
It was like, wait, this is red flags, people, and as Dolphin and I were looking at all that stuff, everybody was still over there tearing all these roommates apart, and everybody at the front
And drugs and
yeah,
frat guys and
rat guy fights and all the things. And obviously, if you look at some of these reports, and they were looking at other avenues, obviously, um, they were looking everywhere but the right place, almost. It's like they couldn't see the writing on the wall. It was right in front of them. But we got WSU finds the car 30 minutes apart on the same day. But, they're over here looking at everybody else and everything else, which they should. If they didn't, boy, we'd be in, having to have that conversation now. But it's just why I can't sit here and spend a whole entire show talking about the pro burgers and what they will or are willing to not believe. You know what I mean? Just here's the thing. Can you trust them going forward about other cases? I don't know. That's up to y'all. If y'all are the ones listening to them people. I've based my opinion on Koberger out of what I've read about Koberger. The statements from former teachers, not what I heard on somebody's live stream, right? Or what so and so said here and yonder. Because if I'd have listened to what everybody was saying on the internet, I would have been free Brian Koberger. But I'm not. I never was. And I never came out here and said, this guy's 1,000% guilty. Because I thought that was weird too. Sometimes you gotta look for what's there, and you don't know. Because so every case that pops off today, am I going to say, oh, they got the wrong guy, wrong channel? Not going to happen. Jeff, I try. It's hard. I don't know if anybody's listening to us. We gonna try. trying to bring balance to these YouTube streets. Dude, that's impossible almost. At least it's not as dangerous now to come out here and say anything about this guy. Because for the longest time, people like me and you were attacked for saying anything about, hey, y'all, look at the possibility of this or that. It's like, go away. Don't you talk bad about him. You're just like Ashley Banfield. Well, hell, Ashley's a pretty darn good journalist if you know her from back in the day like I do. Before she came true crime, go look at the old Ashley Banfield and what she actually used to do before she took her News Nation job to the streets. She's a pretty damn good reporter. She went undercover in Afghanistan. About got her ass blew up a couple times. I mean, people chose to hate Ashley Banfield because she spoke ill about Brian Kohberger. People did the same thing with Nancy Grace. Oh my God, I hate Nancy Grace. She's out there talking bad about the Kohbergers. So I get where people come from with the mainstream media influencing cases, but do they really? Do all jurors watch the damn news and care? Potential jurors? No. They're probably out there working, doing their life, and they get a little thing in the mail like, oh, you got to come. It ain't like they're consuming all the things, right? Just every case is going to be different. You got to look at them and evaluate. Of course, we had questions about their investigation. I'm telling you, law enforcement did not help the questions in this case.
Yeah, no, they didn't at all.
Question factor just really escalated, and Steve G got super aggravated with them, and then he would come out and make statements, and people would latch on to what he was saying, and then people turned on him later that were, oh look, even Steve Gonsalves doesn't think that Kohberger's the killer. That he never said that. But Steve was also, and I know for a fact, was being fed YouTube streams one behind the other of look at all these other potential possibilities. Look at Kopaka. Look at Dylan again. Look at what I found. Look at this. Bombarding a dead victim's family with nonsense found on YouTube. Now, if you're that parent, are you going to stop and wonder? Maybe. I don't know. I can't make their decisions for them. But I don't know if coming out publicly and talking about it was that a factor of how we got here with this case? I don't know. Who knows? Either there's people out there going to fight to the end of times over cases. Look at the Karen Reed people. They've, be fighting left and right. Like, I have better conversations that I want to have other than arguing with people about stuff, right? About, especially with this guy being innocent at this point. Because it doesn't make any sense that people still think that, or would think it, that he took a plea because he couldn't fight the big bad state. When the big bad state stood right there beside him in court and said, hey, all we got's that sheath, Judge. We got some sketchy, phone data. And we got that white Elantra or a car on video. So tell me again how the state was going to stick it to this guy and he could not possibly fight them. Makes no sense. I know, J. Ray. I'm just saying, well, she's not the only one. I mean, shit, YouTube sensationalizes the shit out of this case. What are y'all talking about? Have y'all seen some people's thumbnails?
Yeah, one comes to mind.
I try to make a conscious effort to try to keep my thumbnails as simple as possible. Bottom line, I don't want anybody to come in here and click on my show based on a crazy thumbnail. That is the biggest turnoff as a consumer of true crime. I cannot stand it. I don't get it. I don't get the bizarre cartoonish stuff. I'm not in high school. I'm an adult. I don't need the cartoony looking little shit. I don't need it. I don't want your sensationalism. Like, I just want to discuss it as it is, right? Speaking of Lieberman, did you see her new video on Forbes? She claimed Olivia ended her statement with
Yeah.
She did.
She's retired, right? Is she retired? Because she needs to be. If not, I just was like, this is what you had in your notes? I just, yeah, she was old and fumbling around and just, I was like, yeah, honey,
Yeah, that she's been
you're
that way for
so wrong.
years. Yeah,
hmm
you get some of them people you have to,
But is she retired though? That's what I'm
yes.
hoping now.
Girl,
Okay.
I used to watch her way back in the back in the 80s and 90s. She'd be all over
Yeah, I
CNN.
know she's been around for a long
Mhm.
time.
She'd be
I was
all
just
over
like,
CNN.
you don't
Her with
need to be helping anyone, okay?
Yeah, I'm not listening to
And I
her.
could
I
not
don't.
believe she said that. I was just like, where did you get that from?
Some of these people even when the ones that are talking to experts now are talking about the case, they still get facts wrong, right? Even
That bugs me so much because you know what? Since we're talking about other people, what's his name? There are a lot of little people that I, had sort of started to just like check in with, but now I've got to unsubscribe to a lot of people because, what's his name? Tony Brewski. This man pisses me off so bad. I went into the comments last night because he keeps on talking about these ID cards being found in his glove box in his car. And I was just like, first of all, they were found in the house.
He must
Second,
have heard you. He must have
hmm
heard you, girl. He has another video out now, and he says, "Now we're hearing about IDs found in a
hmm
glove in a box and not the glove box." I'm like, "Well, y'all didn't know that for 2 years."
he's been corrected on it, though. That's what I said in his comments. He's been corrected on it. And then he just did another interview yesterday and said glove box. So he's
Again?
corrected himself. Yeah, but he's fixated with saying that they were in his glove compartment, like his glove box in his car. And I'm just like, oh man, whatever.
They were never in the glove
They were
box in the
never there.
car.
And oh, he had Coffindoffer on
Oh God.
saying both of them were saying 10 ID cards. And his thumbnail had Koberger, like an AI image of him with 10 fanned out like playing cards in his
Where did
hand.
they get
10
that from?
IDs.
I saw
Because of
that.
that guy's chicken scratch writing. So,
Oh
and I
yeah.
just was like, do I need to give them a screenshot of that little part of the search warrant returns and put it on Twitter to both of
Well,
them?
yeah, Coffin Dapper needs the facts
Because
always
I'm like,
laid
you
out
need
for her.
glasses, okay? Because it
Yeah,
doesn't say 10 and then the word ID and then cards. It just says ID cards, you know?
exactly. And they
Inside
were in,
glove, inside box.
and it's always said that.
Yeah,
Always. And people are like, and I'm like, where are they getting some of this stuff from? And these are channels with 100,000 viewers and stuff
yeah.
like that. And, it's like, why? There's no reason to make up shit about this guy. What's there is bad enough, right? It's bad enough you got two IDs and a glove in a box that belong to females that you used to work with. Where the hell did you get them? How did you get their IDs? Did you break into their house and get it?
Yeah, it's just these people that get bad information and then they run with it. And then you have to end up like going back and forth with somebody, trying
Yeah,
to tell them, no, these are the facts.
right.
Oh, the Timu former FBI agent.
She, girl, I wouldn't be throwing her so much shade if she didn't go run with dumb things. The biggest thing was those fake Google searches in the Delphi case when we all knew they were fake except for the FBI agent. I mean, she literally ran to her channel and was out of breath when she went live and was showing her phone to the camera. Oh my God, I've got Rick Allen's Google searches. And we're sitting there literally laughing because they were fake, created by DB Cooper on Twitter. Is Jerry Holman a real cop? Like, did Rick Allen need to really Google search that dude? Jerry Holman is a real cop. It's stupid, for her to come out and not vet things and then to go out and talk about them as if they're fact. And she's still pushing that Koberger was Papa Roger, you know, with nothing to back it up. I wish there was something that could back that up, but there's not. But misinformation train runs rampant in social media and mainstream media. And I don't know if it's done on purpose a lot of times or just laziness.
It's I don't know. It's maybe because okay, I look at it like this. Mainstream media, this is not their only story. So they just get fed, little, snippets or whatever,
Mhm.
and then they go live with it or whatever, right? You know what I mean? It's like no, none of them like know all the details of this case that we know. You know what I mean? And it's oh gosh, it's just tiresome because it's
It
like
it is. It gets
it's
tiresome.
been almost 3 years. You
Hmm.
know?
It has, and it makes you just, and I don't have a problem people want to discuss the validity of a case and what cops could have done different and all these different things, but to continue to have a conversation about this guy's innocent is ridiculous, And I think it's just aggravating to a lot of us if we're like in this chat trying to have conversations about what we see in documents and reports, and people come in and want to tell us that we're wrong or this and that. Well, we know where you're getting your information from. I just say go back over there. I don't have the energy to sit here and defend me or my views or my channel or my community against what some other YouTubers out there putting out, who's been putting out the same shit for 3 years, and it panned out to nothing. Right? They're doubling down on everything. Because how do you go back from that? Like, oops, my bad, I was wrong the whole time, but y'all can trust me going forward on all the other cases. No, now I got to tell you why and reiterate over and over why I had my suspicions, trying to make myself look better. So the next case that pops off, you'll believe me again. So I'm not, you can't fight with some of that stuff. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot
Mhm.
of times, how back in the pandemic days and everybody on Facebook fighting the politicals and all that, did they all get bored after the Trump lost or whatever, and or whatever happened? I don't even know anymore. And Biden came in and they're all like, "Oh, we're done arguing on Facebook. Let's go run to true crime and argue over there. Let's take our conspiracy stuff over there." I don't know. I felt like a lot of that was going on. Is Jennifer Coffin die for an undercover mission from 1987? How long does she return? How long? Oh my gosh. It would be it'd be better if they came out and talked about what's in the documents openly and not um, cherry picking things, and it was a little aggravating when it felt like um, even with these documents, they were issuing them to the mainstream media before they were giving them out to the public. It's like, why? Because now we got gatekeepers. I don't like the gatekeepers.
Mhm.
Y'all,
Yeah.
it's public record. It's not okay. Only the media can have it, and then y'all decide what the public should view. Because y'all are so smart. Don't show them graphic things. They can't handle it. They're not adults. All the things. Let me decide what I can handle and what I can't. Let me decide. And it's a matter of public record. It's not top secret bullshit. It's not. And I want to get I still want the Bearcat footage when they've rolled up in the yard. I
Yeah.
want the drone footage from the backyard
Mhm.
that sees him standing at the sliding door. I
Mhm.
want to see all of that. And a
The
lot of,
body cam, the first guy going in the house. Yeah.
yeah, there's just so much. And I still, in going back to what I watched last night over there on the McDonoghue's channel about the investigation, and I'm telling you, there was some serious problems with this investigation. And I just think that gap between WSU finding that, and I got a real problem with them putting it in the PCA the way they did, because they allude in the PCA, like, this is how we tipped off to Brian Koberger's. They found this car within 30 minutes twice, but y'all still didn't know about that until later, so it's just weird.
Yeah, that PCA has always been problematic, and I like now I really want to see more phone data too, because the fact that the Barnharts are saying he was on a phone call on this 8458 phone. I'm assuming this is the phone that they're talking about because this is what they were hired to look through, unless they're talking about another phone like his original one, or a burner. It's like, how are you on the cellular network talking to your mother when you're dark during these hours? You're talking to her for an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half, when you were supposed to be dark during those hours.
And
That was specifically mentioned in the PCA that he
right.
went dark.
And Heather talked about that, and then she's like, now they're finding out that during that time he was supposedly on the way back to the crime scene, or that's when, even the later on
Oh.
Sunday when the phone
Mm-hmm.
was allegedly off those 3 hours, he was apparently on the phone with his mom. There is some issues, or not issues, but things I like to get a closer look at.
Did you already discuss Yik Yak on here?
No, not today.
Since the, well, no, I mean, like the time period, like since the sentencing and stuff.
No.
No. Well, so remember what I was talking about the broadcastify usage,
Uh-huh.
right? And then what they said later was, what was it, about 6:30 or something? He
Hmm.
also was on Yik Yak and got an image of the jail roster, the I guess the Pullman jail roster or whatever for the girl who
Oh,
committed
yeah.
the hit and run, but he got it off of Yik Yak, like a snap
Yeah.
screenshot of Yik Yak, right? And I was like, well, wait a minute, because Yik Yak is basically like 4chan, but for college students, you
Right.
know? And you have to be within a 5 mile radius of a college, okay, or a university in order to, like, get like activity, and see people chatting about different things or whatever. So I was like, okay, hold on, 6:30 ish at night on the 13th. So he's on the phone with his mother, right?
Yeah.
While he's dark, supposedly, right? And he's looking this up, you know? So which college was he near? Was he near U of I? So he was back near the neighborhood, maybe trying to see what was going on at the 1122 house, King Road house? Or was he back towards WSU, again, trying to, find out something? I kind of am wondering, thinking that he was more towards U of I because he would have wanted to see what the students at U of I were saying about what was going on at the house and in the
Right.
neighborhood, because all the rumors and information was like, flying all over social media then. And Yik Yak, everybody is anonymous. So basically, people could have said whatever the hell they wanted to say, and they were anonymous. So it was like what you were seeing on 4chan, but in an app.
Wasn't there a warrant for Yip Yak?
Yes, there was.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's why I was like, I really want to see this information.
Yeah, I mean, the going into the mind of this guy is gonna be super important moving forward with other, because we can't. Koberger wasn't the first one with a background to go and do these kind of things. Law enforcement background. He's not the first. We're gonna be silly if we say he's gonna be the last. I was watching a documentary just the other night where yet another cop, calls his own precinct and says, "My wife just committed suicide." Not so fast, sir. Not so fast. Not in this country. Guess what? If you're a cop in this country and you call and say your wife just killed herself, you are suspect number one. As you should be. And to watch these guys sit there and be interrogated and think they can convince their fellow law enforcement officers that they are completely innocent and didn't do anything, and then walk in and look at that crime scene and go, oh God, what he's saying ain't making no sense. It ain't gonna be the last time somebody has a law enforcement background that does something so horrendous. I just think he's the next level one. He was the one that's going to take it a step further. He was already gone further than Bundy with his teachings, right? And even to go back to the Green River Killer, all the girls he killed around Washington, and the normal life that man led. I just watched a 2-part documentary the other night. Well, it took me about 4 or 5 hours because I kept falling asleep. But
Hmm.
I wake up and turn it back on. Wake up and turn it back on. I just kept listening to it. This man, and today his family, his nieces, are trying to get him to help them find all of his victims so their families can figure out where they are. How he helped his family bought family property, and that's where a couple of his victims were buried. On the property the family would go spend time at in the summer and all hang out together. Uncle whatever was the normal nice uncle that nobody was afraid of, nobody ever suspected was doing anything wrong. For this man killed up to 50 freaking women.
Where was
When
the documentary on?
I'll have to send you the link.
Okay.
He was serving time in Washington. Um, he's known as the Green River Killer, and I was just, and this guy was doing it back in the 80s, and then how he was married even, and and there was he had a child, and twice they know he had his child with him. It's insane stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they can, there might be a lot they could learn going forward from he's going to be studied. Ricardo, Anne, Ramsland, all these people, they're going to be studying this guy. It's a no-brainer. They're all going to want a shot at him, and I think he knows it.
Oh, of course.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Koberger knows it. Koberger, I think, was self-aware. Now I'm a crazy guy, and I'm going to do this. Hell, you bought your sheath before you ever got there. You knew you were going to do it. Did you know that if you didn't get stopped, you were going to keep doing it? They just pulled a guy over here a couple days ago. He tells the cop, "You need to arrest me right now." The cop says, "Well, I pulled you over, driving infraction." He's like, "Well, you need to arrest me right now because I'm out here hunting people to kill." Niceville, Florida. Tiny little town, 2 hours from me. This man's riding around with a car full of weapons. Was going to go unalive his entire family first, but they weren't home. Luckily, the cop pulled him over and got him, and got every one of those weapons and arrested him. Because our tiny little town could have just been shot up to hell and back by some crazy man. Because they can't stop, and they won't stop unless they're caught. Koberger knew he wasn't going to stop if he didn't get caught. And I wonder if he's like writing papers on himself. Does he keep journals? Did he write down things? I haven't
Yeah,
seen
that's what I've been wondering. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
About
I haven't seen
journals.
anything in a document yet that they've recovered stuff like that, right? Or we know now what 18. Did you see what page 118 was, Dolphin?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
I
a
read it.
letdown or what?
Mm-hmm.
It was. It was like, oh, self-help. Okay. Again, going back to being self-aware, I mean, there's just so much out there with this to unpack about him and his personality, and how much of him being on his own for the first time ever did that impact him. If Then you have to go back and remember, well, he bought the K-bar in March before you ever went over there. Was he like, I'll finally be away from mother? Mother can't reel me in and stop me from what I really want to do anymore. I'm going to try it. I don't know. There's a lot to unpack still with that guy. I'm going to start getting back into these documents today, guys, and we'll come back tomorrow and go over some more started going over the documents and reading some of the stuff that's in there, because there's some particulars that I do want to look at. Some of the investigation I want to look at. There's a lot of thoughts to unpack with this case. I probably have way too many for the
Mm-hmm.
show. And I just wish that the fact that things like, the killer saying Kaylee's name and things like that, if they would take it into context and read the documents the right way, and say that it is, another cop's interpretation of what the other cop told him and things like that. And I don't doubt the guy says, it's okay, I'm here to help you, or I'm going to help you, or whatever was said. My problem is, how close to Dylan's damn door was that comment made, and how can you didn't, and the cops make it messier with Dylan, in my opinion, because in one hand they're saying, well, she's did this and said that, and then over here it's like, well, she's not sure, and it's so, to me, they don't help the Dylan situation at all, and it maybe made it a little bit worse. I don't know if I'm even describing that the correct way. I'm starting to get tired. My energy's starting to go, y'all.
Yeah, they probably didn't even know what to do with her. You know what I mean? Like what she was
Exactly.
saying. And this one was 4 days after. That was like on the 17th
You know what?
or
Yeah.
whatever, and she's still, scattered or whatever. It
And
just
I
yeah.
was reading, let's see if I can, if I can grab it real quick, if I got the right one pulled up. These cops didn't take Dylan off the table at the very beginning.
Oh yeah, you're talking about how they said certain things to her
Yeah,
in
they
the
were.
and asked her was she telling them stuff to mislead them or whatever,
Are
and
you trying
yeah.
to mislead us? If the guy saw you, why do you think he wouldn't harm you? And then she also states that he appeared to know the layout of the house. How does she know that? She caught a glimpse of a guy, but yet she's going to sit there in a statement and say he appeared to know the layout of the house. How do you
Yeah, I
know
thought that
that,
was
Dylan?
interesting, but mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you know that? Are you a never mind. Are you the never mind. I can't. I'll be I'll be in trouble. Um accomplice? I don't know. Mean girl? Are you being saved by your boyfriend? I don't know. It's weird. There was, I think that a lot of the questions about Dylan had some of them were, were valid. Some of them aren't. But I don't think there was a lot of messy situations about this case that didn't make sense. And I don't think the cops looked at her at the beginning and thought, oh my God, this poor girl's completely innocent. No, they were looking at her as there's a possibility. You can't walk into it. Well, I guess if you're those cops, you could. But if I'm a cop walking in there, I'm not taking that girl off the table because she's 19 and crying. Need to know more. You got to know more. And why would a killer walk right past you and see you? I mean, she claims that he was in the kitchen and he saw her, and she didn't know if she saw his. I don't know if he saw my whole head or my whole body or just my head. So the cops were like, well, why would he see you and not do something to you? Right? Eventually they were able to clear her, I guess, obviously, but for people to think that she was never considered a suspect, I think is pretty weak on their part to even how they could not think from the beginning they wouldn't think about that. I think they would think about that.
Oh, I need to feed my deer. She's at the front door.
Are they back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that second floor bathroom is on the way to Xana's room. So were they actually in the bathroom or standing in the hallway? I don't think Dylan knows where they were when she was hearing things. That's the problem with Dylan. I have to take everything Dylan's saying with a grain of salt. I cannot put 1,000% stock in every detail she's telling me is true. She didn't even know if she was having dreams or if it was real. She states that in the statement. I'm still trying to process it. I still don't know what was real and what wasn't. That was problematic. So how can I be for certain she heard Kaylee running down the stairs with her dog? How can I be for certain she heard Kaylee? How can I be certain she heard them in a bathroom? Because it sounds like, from what I'm going to be reading in these documents, Xana's attack might have started in the living room near the beer pong table, and continued toward her room. Or maybe he got in once, I don't know. Because if there was a blood drop, the blood drop could have got on the table on his way out of Xana's room as well, right? Not on the way in, but on the way out. So, yeah, there's just a lot with Dylan to unpack that I think that the girl probably needs a lot of therapy, so we'll leave it at that for the day. Just go get your therapy, baby girl. Because I'm going to tell you, if it was my child, you'd be in therapy because you're going to probably need it. Survivor's guilt alone.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering, was she in therapy before all of this?
It's a good question
Because,
because she talks about crazy shit.
yeah, and the whole lucid dreams, back
Yeah.
in high school and da 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 and whatever else she's had going on. I'm like,
One of my sisters used to have severe nightmares. I mean,
mm-hmm,
this girl would have the most bizarre, insane nightmares. She would walk out of the house. I mean, my dad had to put latches at the very top of the doors because she would get up and walk out of the house in the middle of the night. But she would wake up screaming, having nightmares for no reason. We had a normal, happy, healthy childhood. There was no abuse in our home. There was no alcoholism. There was nothing, just normal. But here she go in the middle of the night, screaming and crying, waking up, having a fit, like night terrors. I'd never seen anybody do that since then. Was Dylan that way? I mean, just too many times she said I didn't know if it was real or dreaming. So I can't say that anybody was in the bathroom crying ever. Like, that makes it sound like in her mind she was trying to justify, is that just Ethan and Xana fighting, and now they're in the bathroom and Xana's crying and he's like, don't worry. But then she said it wasn't Ethan's voice that she heard. And then at one minute she didn't perceive things as a threat, but the next minute she's running downstairs because she's terrified. Problematic. Was you scared or were you weren't? There was just too many problematic things with the only witness that you had.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if I was the prosecutor, I'd really just want to get her up there, tell me what you saw and what you heard, and then get her off the stand as
Get
fast
her off, like, very
Get her out of
quickly.
there. Right.
She's too much of a problem.
Right. She may have ended up saying something that one juror could have been like, well, all it took. Who knows? Let me see. I'm going to make this bigger so I can see. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to have to go for the day. I'm going to go get some orange juice and continue to rest and try to get better and all the good things. And I'll be back tomorrow. Dolphin, do you want to come join me again tomorrow? Maybe we can talk tonight and
Yeah, sure.
choose what documents we want to pick apart with the channel here. Guys, thanks for coming in, everybody, coming in with your different conversations. And please don't take me offense. I don't mean to be like bitchy at you guys. Like, sometimes I have to like really directly address stuff. I'm kind of matter of fact sometimes. I can't help it. It is what it is. And folks still expecting normative behaviors. Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you. I am feeling a little better today. Like I said, today's the first day I've had coffee in a week, so that's saying something for someone like me who lives off coffee. I wanted it so bad 2 days ago. I literally made coffee and then couldn't even pour the first cup. I was so mad. I just went to bed. I was like, screw it. Can't have my coffee. I can't live. But anyway. All right. Well, I'm going to get with Dolphin later on, guys, and we're going to go over a couple of these documents and see what we want to, bring out tomorrow that we can have a little conversation about. And you guys look for us probably around the same time as we were today. Maybe a little bit earlier. We'll see. It depends. You got to catch Dolphin before she goes to bed. She might be up all night tonight. But thank you guys for coming in. Hit the like button if you don't mind, and look for us again tomorrow. We'll be back with part 2, and we'll dive into some of the documents that came out. Dolphin, thanks for coming up and joining me. I appreciate you.
Oh, no problem. You're welcome. I gotta go get some food though, because I still have my headache. The goody powders did not work.
No, you need to eat something. Maybe that'll help. I got you. I know. I'm looking forward to actually having a good meal today. I did get in there and eat a little bit yesterday and a little bit today, but I want a good meal tonight. So I think my son's going to cook. So I'm like, yes, fine. I'll lay in bed and eat. Anyway, y'all have a good afternoon. Dolphin, I hope your headache gets better. And guys, we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe and follow. Much love from Little Yas to each of you.